windows down. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our M Plus soloing tournament. This is a day two, so we're gonna have finals, and today we have a new guest caster or a very special man, Kex Man. Hello, yeah, it's you.
Hello, it's me. It's
Yeah,
I'm the special guest caster
yes,
coming in on the final day, which means we get all of the excitement today. Obviously, yesterday there was so much going on, players pushing as hard as they possibly can, but now nothing can be left unsaid. They have to put everything they possibly can into this final day. And I don't know about yourself, Sheik Runner, but seeing what we saw yesterday, seeing what these players are capable of, I'm really expecting something special from these last few dungeons that are going to happen.
Yeah, are really in for a treat here today. Seeing what everyone can do in the final stretch of the tournament today.
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, final stretch of the tournaments are always exciting, but you take a look at some of the other tournaments that we see. Obviously, TGP, AWC, Keystone Builders. We see, the tournaments that come out of organizations like Raider.io and such as well. It's always team-based things. It's always team-based. So, how is X team going to deal with this? They can pick them. They can pick their team members up. It's safe to say none of that here today. This is all entirely on every single one of these players' shoulders.
yeah, and
Oh,
let's talk about a little bit about the tournament in general, right? We'll break up the graphics about the dungeons and the dungeon buns, and let's just go through it. So basically, the strat here and the plan here is to do the same thing as in like the great push, right? You're doing the highest key possible and you get points for it. If you like +3, you get extra points, +2 extra points, +1 just the regular amount of points and whatnot. And the highest key that you can push, you get the biggest amount. We have 3 hours since the start now, or is it 4? We
it's
have
three
three,
to
three,
four.
yeah, 3 to 4 hours, technically speaking. And there's the special rule, just like on TGP, if you're starting, you key in the last second, right before the dungeons are locked, and like you can't run anymore, you get to extend, right, and stuff like that. And to our main graphic here, every single player is able to ban one dungeon, and we went through the bans yesterday. So people just didn't want to see some of this, and I kind of understand some of them, but at the same time, some of them were like just spied bans or something. Like, for example, during deal he banned freehold, and then he said, yeah guys, I cannot do freehold on a very high level, so I'm just banning this one out for you because I know you guys can do it, so you gotta suffer Vortex Pinnacle with me instead. So yeah, and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious why they banned Halls of Infusion. It's just a really annoying dungeon, even to run as a group and stuff like that. And yeah, for participants we have four gray soloists, and I guess one of you can talk about them if you want, like in a very brief moment. Maybe
Uh,
Sheik, since he's already watched the tourney yesterday. He's a soloist himself, by the way, so he knows most of these guys or all of them.
yeah,
So the floors is yours.
all of these players are well respected members of the soloing community. Randall, for example, is known for his insane soloing kills, dating even back to Wrath of the Lich King, where he was the first hunter to kill the Lich King solo. Molini, you probably have heard of him before. As mentioned here in the graph, he soloed Sludgefist Mythic. And all of these players, like Hurst, the Heroic Solo, are all players who are really interested always to host these types of events.
Yeah,
And that's more.
sorry, I was just going to say the one thing out of this that scares me. I mean, all of those players scare me. They are terrifying players in their own right. Malini soloing Mythic Sludge Fist in the same expansion, that is actually horrifying, like legitimately horrifying, because Sludge Fist as a boss is a tough boss to get through when you've got a raid group. Mythic Sludge Fist, even tougher. Doing that solo, that's an incredibly impressive feat.
Yeah, that is true, and it's no surprising that Mulaney is leading right now. He's a scary player,
Yeah.
but maybe some of the guys that they were practicing and they will throw down the king.
Yeah. We're gonna see that. Like Hurst definitely has a shot at this. Looking back at the competition from yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. He's the closest to Mulaney, and then Durandil is going at him, very, very close. So in total, we have 35 points on Mulaney. We have 29 points on Hursty, 27 points on Durandil, and Heroic Solo with 16 points. Hope Heroic Solo will be able to pick some points up and catch to the other guys. And by the way, they're already getting prepared, so in a minute or two after we're done stretching it for you guys, they gonna be starting.
We're building hype, we're building excitement for these players, as we've already mentioned. You know, we've got some great feats from all of them. The 30 monk raid that we saw coming out of Hursty, defeating Sarkareth in 10 seconds, which again is mind blowing. The fact that we see a mythic sludgefist kill in the same expansion, mind-blowing feats from these characters. And you know, because of that, it's one of those things that you can't necessarily take your eyes off. You've always got to have one eye on what these players are going to be doing, because we've seen what they can do sort of like in raid environments. We've seen what they can do when they organize stuff. But, you know, coming up towards the last day, Sheik Runner, I'm wondering if they have anything else in their sort of like anything in their back pocket that they might be able to bust out today.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, I'm excited to see this myself. How, you know, especially like from like the Rendel's perspective as like a DPS player, the only one in the tournament, to maybe see maybe he has something up his sleeves to like really throw them off the balance here, off the balance.
Okay, you guys, we're going into it. The first key is starting. We're switching into it.
Oh,
Hursty is already with a pull timer. Mulaney is preparing. Durandil is about to start as well, and Heroic Solo is casting his buffs. So yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're
gotta get prepared.
it's also like the first time we see a +8 Vortex Pinnacle.
I mean, going in on a +8, this is interesting because I'd love to know what these players do when it comes to warming up. I'd love to see what they do leading into this. I'd love to see what they do going through this and saying to themselves, hey, you know, let's do X, Y, and Z, you know, see exactly where we end up. You see a Beacon to the Beyond being used there straight away from Mulaney, getting a big chunk of damage on that first mob. That's going to help them. And they will have planned everything out. They will have sat aside and said, hey, I know I need to use this trinket here. I need to, you know, be aware of this cooldown for this pack. They will know exactly what to expect from these packs in every single one of these dungeons. We see Hursty at the moment in a Neltharis, trying to push through as quickly as they possibly can in there. Heroic Solo in a Neltharian's Lair, same as Durandil right now, going into Neltharian's Lair. Hursty, that's not the start you want.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
he's teleporting out. He's gonna restart. He got a bunch of damage. Then I assume he did his cheat torpedo in an incorrect position, and he just died to full damage. Well, yeah. You have so much time. Yeah.
Same for Durandil. He also had to restart his key just now.
Durandil, yes, I believe Durandil did as. Oh no, Heroic Solo is the one that I think Heroic Solo went in first, but it's entirely possible that there was a very, very quick restart there from Durandil. And honestly, the start of the day, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, Sheik Runner. You've got to imagine for a lot of these players here, you know, they would rather have a restart in the first 30 seconds to a minute of a dungeon rather than 17 minutes into a dungeon. We see Durandil there dying once again. For those folks that are watching, all of these keys, the affixes they will be dealing with are fortified and incorporeal. So the trash in Neltharian's Lair is going to be absolutely terrifying, but Heroic Solo doing a good job right now in being able to manage that damage coming through. So far, slightly better than Durandil. I believe they are at a lower key level though. Key level 5, I think, there compared to Durandil's level 7.
Yeah, Durandil restarting again. Something's definitely not going in his favor, but it's, yeah, just like you said, Cax, it's totally okay to just be restarting now and be restarting so like early into the dungeon, so you're not technically you're wasting time, but at the same time you're not, because you're restarting so fast. And yeah, At the same time,
If-
Molini is doing completely fine in his +8.
Yeah, but it's like actually very interesting to see because like even like for the tanks, Vortex Pinnacle is supposed to be like a very challenging dungeon. Like it's for sure like the dungeon I believe that the players are most scared of. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how Molini is going to do this on the +8 continuing. But at the moment, it looks like he's having it under control.
Yeah.
With
Sorry, go ahead.
no, we can see him like that he's doing his like big pulls again from what he was doing yesterday as well.
Oh yeah,
Again.
it's one of those strange things as well with Death Knights where they kind of want to pull big. You want to have mobs hitting you. You want to have that opportunity to get a bunch of healing away from them. So, this is actually going to, I think, it's one of those things with DKs. It's a very risk reward gameplay. You're going to notice the health ping ponging all over the place. That's why, that's why healers love healing Death Knights, because their health does ping pong to a dramatic, way compared to other tanks.
Surely they do. Yeah. Hearing feedback from my healer friends, they don't really like it when I'm playing Blood at Night. But oh well. But it's a really good class for soloing because you have so much different utility. And considering they are running incorporeal, you can play Chain Undead, I think, or like Control Undead. The one ability that you can just cast on one of the adds that the affix spawns, and then you just get extra damage reduction for yourself from the affix for like entire 30 seconds, as long as the ad remains alive, right? Because it just continuously spams the damage down and the healing down on the enemies because he's your friend now. And yeah.
The render seems to really struggle with this first pack here in Neltharion Lair with another reset just coming in.
Yeah, it's a difficult pack. Now, Tharian's Lair, the first pack to deal with, is probably one of the most dangerous areas, whether you're doing it solo or in a group, to be honest with you. A lot of Neltharian's Lair keys live or die by this first pull. So Durandale kind of taking a look, going back into it once again, as we have seen. We do see Hursty has changed tactic. Hursty did start in Neltharis and has now switched over to Neltharian's Lair, going to get themselves up in that. A +7, the same as Durandale. Heroic Solo is just chilling, is just relaxing on that first boss. There's no real danger here for Heroic Solo on that Demon Hunter. Just kind of relaxing, trying to get the boss down as quickly as possible. That's all they're really focusing on. A nice position here as well. It does mean that they're not going to be getting knocked back. Meanwhile, Molini is taking on that first boss here inside of Vortex Pinnacle, and they've brought friends because there's not enough stuff on the ground for Molini to deal with.
Yeah, it's like he's bringing all the ads every single time in every single one because he just likes to do it this way. Not only does it it probably gives him extra adrenaline, right? But on top of that, it's very effective. Every single blood boil that you do increases your damage done of your next death strike, as well as it increases its healing. So you, just like you said earlier, you want to be continuously pulling a lot to make sure that you are utilizing your most of your kits to the fullest. And on top of that, Blood Decay is one of the really greater, I would say, not like really greater, that would be incorrect English, right? But one of the really good tanks to do all of the soloing because of its skin. It has immunity to knockbacks. It has immunity to all the magical spells with anti-magic shell. They can soak a lot of magic damage with just anti-magic zone if he spec'd into it. And on top of that, they have control undead and all of the grips and all that kind of stuff, making Blood Decay a really formidable foe for his opponents in the soloing tournament right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, DKs are exceptionally powerful. I think the most dangerous thing with DKs is if they're not hitting something, Molini's going to struggle. Molini is definitely going to struggle. However, a lot of these dungeons here, that is not going to be anything to really worry about. And I think that's part of the reason why we do see Molini bringing in a bunch of trash into bosses as well, because there's always something for Molini to be hitting. There's always something there to regain that health, to gain a little bit of extra damage. Hursty, meanwhile, has dealt with the first trash pack very, very well in Neltharian's Lair, moving on to the first boss there. Meanwhile, Heroic Solo just doing a bit of skip through this trash. This trash is dangerous as well. Any of this fortified trash can be really rough if you're not careful. And Durandil still restarting that Neltharian's Lair, Sheik Runner.
Yeah, I'm seeing this too right now. It's gonna be interesting to see whether or not he's actually gonna like continue doing this, or if maybe like goes into like a different key here again. If this occurs another time, maybe he just switching it up for a second maybe helps him to like really get his composure back.
Do you think he gets tilted from this not going really well?
I could imagine it for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
if that's the case, maybe switching the dungeon would be a great idea. But now we can see, yeah, his turtle is over. He's doing quite a big pull for for a hunter. Honestly, wow, this is scary. His pet is dead. Oh no. Oh my god, this is
That's
GG.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to try again. Yeah.
Uh,
Every single time he pulls that much heat, I don't know, he really needs to be like his senses need to be super heightened right there just to make sure that he survives that kind of a pull. And I hope he's able to pull it out. That would be really cool to see, but so not yet.
Yeah, it's tough in that sort of scenario as well. It's one of those. It's a situation where if you're playing in a group, you can kind of get a bit of a pickup, you can get a bit of a boost from your players. They can say, "Hey, don't worry about it. Go next. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Nothing's nothing to worry about." Malini's got nothing to worry about. The first boss is dead there for Malini in that Vortex Pinnacle. But for Durandil, it's a bit more difficult because you want to get the best possible start to your day, and you'll have one eye on your competition. He'll see Hursty doing, this +7 and getting through the first boss pretty much on maybe their second attempt. Heroic Solo is currently working through again, obviously a slightly lower key level, so there is a slight difference there. But you kind of need a second to just say, hey, relax. I need to refocus. And in this sort of scenario, that's even more important because it is just you doing that. It is just you saying that. So it can be tough for them to kind of pick themselves back up in this situation. And if you turn around and you say, oh, I'll go to a different dungeon, there's a possibility, Sheik Runner, that someone could you could turn around in your own head and be like, oh, I've lost that. I've failed that particular task.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like another way that's gonna be very interesting to see if he opts in of doing that is to maybe like pull a little bit less enemies here for the first pull, even if it went well in practice for him. But sometimes you just gotta try. Oh yeah, it looks like he's actually opting in for it. Oh no,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to give up.
He's not giving up. He is not giving up. It's I don't know. I'm not sure how I necessarily. I think I like your idea. Pull slower. Just pull slightly slower. You don't need to have this massive pull here. You can save time in other places. I mean, look at the damage that Durandil is taking here, and I'm wondering if that's going to work out. And I mean, you see the pet obviously dying there, and then immediately everything moving directly onto Durandil, and that's going to be a very quick death. I think the idea of pulling slower is much better and safer.
Yeah. But maybe he also. Oh, Molini is going in for a very big pull, pulling all of this trash up to the second boss.
That's just rude.
To really benefit from the haste buff.
The danger here is I'm wondering. I mean, I've never encountered it before. Do the dragons recast Healing Circle? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think that they do. And if like gets like stunned here, like the breath's gonna really cause some damage to him. But he looks like he has figured it out so far.
I mean, to be honest, it's if you can pull it off, it's not a bad idea because, as you mentioned, the haste buff does mean that you deal with the trash quicker. And Malini so far has been very, very good at picking these opportunities where it's a case of, oh, it's a risk reward thing. If I do this correctly, then I'm going to be looking really, really comfortable here. I'm going to be looking really solid. And so far, the pull is working out very, very well for Malini. Durandil is going back into that Natharian's lair. I'd love to see a slightly smaller pull at the start. I think a slightly smaller pull would be better. It would help out a lot more, get the opportunity to get through the dungeon. I mean, Hursty is working their way through the trash here before. No, they do have the second boss engaged here. They do have Ulrug Crag Shaper engaged, so they're going to be dealing with that. I'm hoping they can deal with the little puzzle that this boss does during one of their transitions. And we do actually see the same thing happening here for Heroic Solo. They've got to keep their eyes on these idols as they move around. Have they identified which one it is going to be?
I hate this puzzle.
Immediately identified it. How can you hate this puzzle? It's fantastic.
There's one problem with it is that sometimes I don't get my camera angle perfectly, and then it slips through, like, you know, when the two idols are crossing, and then it's GG. And
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm usually the one in my groups when I'm telling, like, yeah, dude, guys, I can do it perfectly. And then when I don't do it perfectly, everybody's like, yeah, GG, kick this guy.
It looks like Durandal managed to manage the pull this time around.
I did see that. It has worked off. That's got to be a big increase for your morale. You know, managing to break through that. You've still got a whole dungeon in front of you, but you've been able to get through one of the most difficult parts, or the part that has been causing you the most difficulty.
Yeah, and maybe that's what he was going for, like having like a really good start, so he maybe can +2 the chest, +2 the key instead of just like a +1. So he wanted to make sure that the beginning of the run just goes perfect.
Oh, he is doing the strat where he triggered. Oh no!
Oh no! What strat was he doing again? Was it the one where he gets sniped out of the air?
That was so unfortunate. I think he got fall damage. No, or was it he just got one shot?
Fall damage. He got fall damage.
He got that. That's got to be that. That would be tilting.
Yeah.
That would be incredibly tilting. I would be fuming. Although saying that, the other day, first time ever. I'm a big fan of Wrath Classic. I play a lot of Wrath Classic. First time, and I played back original OG Wrath. Yes, I'm that old. I played back in OG Wrath.
Same.
Me too.
The confusing thing for me was, you know, the Ajol Narub. After the second boss, after you've done the spider boss and you jump down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize you can die to fall damage there because there is a very, very small invisible sort of like wall/floor section next to a bunch of leaves. I didn't realize that was there. I didn't realize you could die to fall damage there, but apparently you can.
I hope you were not doing like a hardcore challenge kind of thing on that one.
No, nothing like that. But it was just very confusing to me. I've never seen it happen before.
Yeah, it's very surprising, like what you can encounter after all of those years still in the game.
Yeah, I've only been going at that hole in one particular way all those years, and I've never died because I just, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just going this way. And
Durandal is now back to dying on that first trash pack. That would be. I would not be surprised if Durandal is somewhere in orbit right now.
Yeah, he's already off the face of the earth.
That's gotta be so annoying.
It must be very demoralizing to die to like fall damage after like doing such an amazing pull successfully, and now being back to it.
Yeah, that would be frustrating is the word. Frustrating. Meanwhile, Malini is frustrating these mobs here, but taking a lot of damage coming in here. And one of the dangerous things is obviously you don't want to be inside that triangle when these mobs do almost empower it. But the problem is he can't grip anything out. Because whilst you're inside that, you are immune to magic, to spells. You can't be hit by spells. So if any of them do show up as a DK, he can't grip them out. Malini can do nothing for that. So having to use, distance, having to use a couple of different tricks for those, potentially frustrating for a DK, especially if they want to be going quickly here.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the downsides when your crowd control relies on like pulling something up to you. That definitely especially those charging enemies, the Sphinxes on these two last packs, right? Those can charge, and their entire character model, I guess, or enemy model can be stuck inside of that triangle, and they just don't want to move from the conduit field or whatever you like to call it. And right now, Molini, oh wow, that's a dangerous pool. That's a really dangerous pool.
Even going in with the sparks here.
Yeah, the sparks do a lot of damage, but honestly, at this point, Malini looks quite comfortable. I think it's one of those situations where the moment the pull starts, it gets very, very rough, but Malini's then able to stabilize. I mean, at no point does it look right now. I mean, you're seeing Malini's health pool, ping pong all over the place. And we've spoken about DKs before, and, the way that their health bars do play in these sort of pools. But honestly, it doesn't look like Malini's panicking in any way, shape, or form. And we do see actually the MDT, the Mythic Dungeon tools being opened up there for Durandil. Maybe a slight change in their plan. Are they going to be going back to Neltharion's Lair? It doesn't look. There we are. There, yeah. I thought they were just hovering over one of the Dragonflight dungeons, so potentially maybe they were looking at a Neltharis, but no, they are going to be going back into Neltharion's Lair. Heroic Solo still working on the trash here just before the penultimate boss of Neltharion's Lair, Noraxus, a very, very dangerous worm boy. If you have not
very notorious boss.
Yeah, the pleasure of facing Noraxus yet. Hursty is also there as well. So Hursty has done a really good job in catching up, actually. Heroic Solo was slightly ahead. But Hursty, great job in catching up. That'll be that's a big feather in the bonnet of Hursty there.
Yeah, Hursty is doing a very solid job across this dungeon, and he's being on a pretty solid pace for +2, I would say, considering like his timer right now, and he's already on Naraxis. It looks pretty good for him, unless something just suddenly goes out of control and he gets a couple of the dangerous auto attacks that he forgets to use Purifying Brew and Celestial Brew and whatnot, or maybe he like suddenly forgets that it's Spike Tongue, which would be a horrible thing to forget about. Yeah.
Looking at Molini right now, all of the trash is just coming to him after he pulled it and ignored for a while, making this much more.
He dropped so low there. That was horrifying, but able to heal back up. That was I thought it was over then. I thought it was over. I thought that was going to be the end.
But it was not. He still has his purgatory, right? Yeah. There is no debuff on him. So he is doing completely all right in that department, and it seems like it's going to be I don't know if his timer is gonna run out, but it seems to be in a comfortable area for +2ing this 8 key, this 8 vortex pinnacle for him. At the same time, Heroic Solo, he's already done with like 25% of Naraxus, and Hursty. Oh no, this is what I was talking about. Oh my god, it's so dangerous for. Oh no, he's getting eaten.
No.
Nom. That is how easy it is to die on Naraxus. The spiked tongue coming in, still going back. I think taking a look at how long that was taking Hursty to damage to as well, that probably gets rid of the +2, if I'm being honest.
Oh, Purgatory proc.
Oh, we do have the Purgatory proc. Oh no, and that's pretty early on in this boss fight. Although honestly, the amount of damage that's coming through is not mostly through the boss, it's the ads. So getting a Purgatory proc now, whilst you have less ads, not the end of the world, but Malini will have to be extra careful, specifically with the damage that comes out of the ads that this boss spawns as well. A very painful boss. Naraxus, meanwhile, still being worked on by Heroic Solo. Heroic Solo dropping really low again. This boss is very hard, and Durandil has finally made it to the first boss, Rock Mora, there of their Neltharion's Lair, and that's got to be that's got to be a big morale boost, Cheek Runner.
Yeah, I agree.
It is definitely a really good situation to be in for Durandil. Now he just needs to get his composure back, right? Complete this boss, and then continue going through the dungeon, and shrug off all of those unfortunate mistakes that happened, or maybe just he was just getting tilted and whatnot. He needs to shrug that off and continue in this dungeon as if nothing happened. For Hursty,
this is like something that we also see with Durandil here, is that because he's like a DPS player, the boss just melts comparatively to the tanks.
Watch what Hursty is doing. He's standing completely 3 miles away from what the actual arena would be, and I don't know if that's a Ah, no, he was
Oh,
just
nope.
trying some big brain strat, but it just doesn't work. Reap.
But didn't take any damage.
Yeah.
Didn't take any damage whatsoever. So that was kind of a little bit of a safe play for them. Malini is going to be taking constant damage here, but it does look as though the majority of the ads from the dungeon have been killed. Now it's just the ads that Assad brings throughout this fight, which is an addition for the Mythic season here. These ads were never in during the original version of Assad. These are brand new for this season. And honestly, I absolutely love them. If you are currently taking on Assad in some of your runs, make sure your DPS are switching to them, because if you do not, they absolutely truck. Meanwhile, Heroic Solo has been able to get through Neuraxus. Looking at the timer here, +2 is probably out of reach, but a +1 here on a solo Neltharian's Lair, that's still a massive achievement for a solo player.
Yeah, that's still a really good thing for him to do, to make sure that he can go through the fives, he can start doing +6 keys and whatnot, and continue pushing forward, get those points, and maybe, just maybe, since he's like a little bit slower and he doesn't time the lower keys on +3, but he's gonna start crawling, like touching the toes of Durandil, right? Getting close to that third place on the higher keys, because Durandil, since he's playing a DPS, there definitely is going to be a particular barrier for entry, and I don't think he will be able to do +10s. I feel like that's gonna be super hard for him.
As we're seeing here with Durandal right now, is like he opts into actually doing these trash mobs compared to like Heroic Solo. I see like he was skipping it with Invis Potion, so they're going a little bit of a different route here.
Probably a different route, because as a DPS, so here's the thing, what we're seeing out of Heroic Solo, Hursty, Malini, they're all playing tank classes. They are going to survive, with the exception of some of the most extreme damage that comes out, as we've seen from Neuraxus. The Spiked Tongue, a very, very dangerous, very dangerous ability there, can kill Hursty, as we did see it kill Hursty. However, Durandil has one advantage, and I want to point it, we kind of just saw it there and we didn't speak about it, is that we actually had Durandil getting to the first boss, getting to Rockmora, and then the amount of time it took Durandil to kill Rockmora versus the other two players that we've seen here in Neltharian's Lair right now was so quick in comparison, that yes, they might not be able to push as high as a +10, but they have the advantage of being able to do a lot more damage. So they might not see the heights of the +10, but when it comes to actual completion, at maybe a slightly lower key level at around a +8, they could be slightly quicker because of that damage, which could make a massive amount of difference in these leaderboards by the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. We should not just discount the fact that Durandil is playing a DPS because he just brings the tank in form of a pet, and he's a complete class that does a lot of damage. And while we were talking about Durandil, Malini completed his +8 on +1, but he's instantly going into +9. So
yep.
We're going
and
to
as
be
we
seeing...
saw, and as we saw yesterday with Molini, like going into like the hierarchies, just surviving won't be enough. The damage check still needs to be met. Yeah, and that's where Durandal would not struggle less.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. It's for Durandil, you're not going to survive as long. You're a little bit squishier, but guess what? You're going to do a lot more damage than these players. So it's a trade-off between them. Malini getting a +1 on the 8 doesn't necessarily mean that they will be able to get a +9. I mean, you would hope that they'd be able to get the +9, maybe see the +10 here. It is going to be, it's going to come down to it. I mean, Malini obviously playing the DK, which, as we all know, is just a failed warrior. As we all know, it is just a failed warrior. They've already died. They've already died once. They couldn't be a warrior, so they had to be a DK. It's one of those things. However, we are going to see an interesting strategy here from Durandil on Neltharian's Lair. Is they're actually trapping some of these pelters, which is a very good idea, because those pelters, if Durandil is not careful, can very, very easily two-shot you at this level. They do so much damage, especially as it is fortified as all of these keys are. Meanwhile, Heroic Solo here is currently just with a couple of Scorpion buddies, just relaxing with a couple of Scorpion buddies. They have pulled Dargrul there. We do see Dargrul pulled also on the side of Hursty, and Hursty's done a great job in catching up and, from the looks of it, surpassing Heroic Solo here, Sheik Runner.
Yeah, I was just like looking at the timer. Is he going to still make the +2 here, Hursty, or is he?
It's looking really tight for him, but I believe. Also, one of the things that I want to point out is that when Molini did his Vortex Pinnacle on +5 yesterday, it took him 17 minutes and 19 seconds. This +8 was 24 minutes and 20 seconds.
That's
the
a huge
difference
jump.
is huge. Will he, if +1 key difficulty is such a big deal, will he be able to, to continue sticking, to be like, will he be able to even time the dungeon? That's what I'm wondering, since the difference has been so huge.
Oh, the +2's in for Hursty.
Let's
Hell
go.
yeah.
The +2 is in. So that is a +7. That's going to take that Neltharian's Lair up to a +9. Which, honestly, I think that is still technically timeable for Hursty. It will just be a lot tougher, as we've seen, as you mentioned, the difference from a +5 all the way up, to a +8. There is a huge difference in the time there. I think just one, it should be doable. On a Vortex Pinnacle, it's just going to require some absolutely incredible play,
Molini.
which is the exact opposite of what we just saw.
He's opting into restarting the dungeon, as it's like still like a very early on. It just makes sense for him to go in and out again and try again.
Yeah, you that early, it does. You would just reset that. There's no reason for you not to. We are looking at Heroic Solo here. 4 minutes left on the clock for the timer of this Neltharian's Lair. Dargrul looking at about 21%, 20%-ish, so into that execute phase. However, this is where things could go very wrong. If Heroic Solo wipes here, Heroic Solo will not have enough time to complete this dungeon. So they will have to restart, and that's a lot of time wasted in these sort of tournaments. Hursty is wasting little time in getting into another dungeon, and it is now Tharas here, a +7. Still a very dangerous key on a fortified. These mobs do indeed hurt, and as a reminder, every single one of these players is playing solo. So that doesn't mean that things are going to be comfortable for them. Durandil, not very comfortable either. You can see they're not on a lot of health, and they do have that pelter currently just waiting. They've got, just so they see if they can get a little bit of extra health back, and immediately, as soon as they have cooldowns off, they go straight back into it. And you can see the damage that the pelter is doing. 24, 20, around about 25k every single time they're hitting Durandil, which, if you're a hunter without a healer, is going to hurt.
Yeah. Another thing that I wanted to remind is that about the rules of the tournaments for our viewers. The tournament rules are as follows. Similar to the Great Push, every single key level that you are doing gives you points. All those points get summarized by the end of this day, considering this is finals. The player that ends up with the highest keys pushed and with the highest amount of points wins, and the reward is around like a 850,000 gold or maybe 900,000 gold at this point. So just a couple of WoW tokens, which one of the players will be getting, and on, of course, the bragging rights that you're the best solo gamer up to date, right?
And one important thing to mention, Molini was the last champ of our last tournament, and he's trying to become the back-to-back.
Yeah, he wants to be a back-to-back 1993, 1994 champion, just like Dr. Disrespect. Yeah.
The back-to-back champion. That's, I mean, you mentioned bragging rights. Bragging rights, just winning one of the tournaments, is up there. It's excellent. But the being able to do it back to back is incredible, because it shows just the sheer amount of skill over time. And by the way, I do want to point out the level 7 Neltharian's Lair from Durandil. This is what I mentioned. The health bar of Ularog Cragshaper is just getting depleted here by Durandil in comparison to what we saw out of Heroic Solo, out of what we saw from Molini. Heroic Solo does look like they have completed their I believe they completed their Neltharian's Lair. They're moving in
Yeah, they
once
did.
again to Neltharus, once again alongside Hursty. And the damage that is being done here is exceptional. My biggest concern for Durandal right now is actually going to be, Naralak, the worm boss. Naraxus, sorry, not Naralak. Naraxus, the worm boss, is going to be very, very scary. Very scary for a hunter in this sort of situation to deal with, because with a lot of the tanks, if they get clipped by it, they can sometimes be able to break through that. Durandal is not going to have any hope if that does happen.
Oh, Mulini. Oh no.
Mulini is dying again. Yeah, it feels like this is like very, very hard key level now for him. By the way, before that, he didn't need to restart any of the dungeons before. This is where we actually start seeing him restarting things. So I assume that's actually getting hard for him.
Yeah, this is the first time we see him struggle like this.
Yeah, also every time we were so... Yeah, for sure.
I have a question for you, Kexman. So, what do you think can these players actually push to? Like, which key level can they reach? So, yesterday I was very pessimistic, saying that, level 10 is going to be the highest number, with Makes being much more optimistic, going to up to like a 13. So, like, what do you think, Kex?
I think it depends on who's going to be doing the dungeon, B, what dungeon it is going to be. I think Vortex Pinnacle is going to max out at where Molini is. I don't see them going to a 10 on a Vortex Pinnacle. We can already see how painful this is for Molini, who so far, has been incredible across this entire tournament. As you mentioned, hasn't had to restart a dungeon yet. I think a +9 is going to be your max level that you can do here. Now, Tharian's Lair, I don't see that going above, I don't see that going above a 9 either. I could maybe see Neltharus going to 11 or 12. I could also see Ulderman going above 11 or a 12. The Ulderman one is going to be the sketchiest, I think, out of all of them. Again, because it is fortified, some of that Ulderman trash, absolutely terrifying, and the bosses are not exactly easy either. Out of all of them, honestly, I think out of all of them, the person who has the highest chance of getting something above a +10 is ironically going to be Durandal, because, and this is a very big if they can survive. If they can survive, I think they're going to be the best chance at getting above a +10, simply because of the damage that is required and X, Y, and Z. Heroic Solo, Hursty, Molini, all incredible players. I would love to see them get above a +10. I just don't think it's going to happen just through sheer time alone and the amount of damage they do. So I think we'll cap out at a 12. I'm kind of on Make's side there. We'll cap out 12, 13.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
I also want to point out as well. I am notoriously known for being wrong. So just throwing that one out there, just making you folks aware.
To be fair, I think the Uldaman can potentially be pushed up to +10. But since it's a fortified, that dungeon is extremely, extremely scary. But if you're doing really well, +10 is possible. And definitely, I agree with your point about Durandal. If he's able to just survive, then he will have much better chances, because the tanks, yeah, sure, you can do 200,000 DPS on the trash pack, but as soon as you're getting into a boss, that suddenly gets reduced to 35, maybe 45,000. Maybe if you get a good crit RNG, you're suddenly doing 50. Maybe like if you're popping all the cooldowns, everything just aligns, like it's your lucky day, then you get to up to like 55,000 DPS solo. But Durandal should be able to pull, like, he's pulling like what, 85,000 damage right now? Yeah, 82k.
It's difficult to see. It's difficult. Is it 82? Okay, good. That's a solid number. That is a solid number. We're going to see Naralex die very, very quickly. Naraxus, die very, very quickly here. But then we have a very, very scary moment in the dungeon, which is the trash just before Dargrul, the final boss. And those scorpions are horrifying.
Yeah, we can
I'd
bring
love.
Durandil just to make sure.
Ooh,
81,000 DPS by the end of the boss. So yeah, he's at least doing at least twice of the DPS of the
yeah.
tank players.
I mean, if we could stick with Durandil for just a little while, I want to see how Durandil is going to handle these ads, because Durandil's not going to be able to pull 2 scorpions. I wouldn't imagine, the same way that we saw heroic
No,
solo.
no way, no way.
And Hersted do here. So this will be slightly different. But again, we'll keep an eye out on this and see just how quickly they are able to do this 7. Because if they do this 7 here, if they're on contention for a +2 here, it's going to be quite tight, but they're on contention for a +2. If they're able to do the 7 as a +2, I believe heroic solo was only able to +1 the 5, which again shows the difference in the damage and the speed that you're able to get through these. So, I kind of like the approach that Durandil has taken on here, which is, hey, I might not be as tanky as the rest of you, but guess what? You can't even come close to my damage, which I quite enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. The higher keys we go, we will see him start to resetting his dungeons over and over until he gets a lucky shot. But I feel like as soon as he gets the lucky one, that's where he's continuously going until the end. And yeah, he will definitely be catching up to the opposition, to the competition here with his keys, just because one of those lucky pulls happened and then he has the damage to back it up. And now we're seeing how he's managing this really scary pool. It's a scary pool in general, just even on just a little bit of a higher key in a group setting. It's already scary for healers, but especially on fortified, but for a solo player.
And even the amount of self-fear that he as a hunter has here in this situation is also kind of incredible to see. You wouldn't expect it from a hunter to be able to maintain your health like this.
Yeah, so he's playing Ferocity Pet, which gives him 15% leech. And that's one of the benefits that he's able to have for his class. That's this amount, significant amount of leech that he has from just having a pet of Ferocity family. And that pet also gives him bloodlust, just for everybody. But yeah, it's quite a lot of sustain. I wish survival hunter had this much sustain.
But as we can see, as he these pulls, they're definitely not easy, as we can see him dropping below 30% in the other pull before.
This is by no means an easy pull that you just close your eyes and press your buttons and GG. I feel like the higher we go,
somebody who's played a tank, I can tell you that this is a scary pull. As someone who has played, this is a very, very dangerous pull, and not only for a tank, but for everybody else as well. We do see a couple of extra ads being brought in here and requiring that percentage. We will see that the bloodlust is available to be used here, and 4 minutes, over 4.5 minutes left. I would imagine this is going to be a +2 unless we do see Durandil here being clipped by anything. Obviously dying here would be incredibly disastrous. We do have the 2 ads being spawned here for Incorporeal, but will very, very easily be taken care of. Great performance. And one thing I do want to point out, which is really interesting, no keybinds.
Yeah, he is a clicker. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I wonder how good he will be if he was able to use both of his hands at the same time to play the game. But the fact that he's a clicker and he goes this far is very admirable.
It just shows how easy hunters are. That's all it is. But yeah, we've incredibly impressive being able to get to this level here, having to clear up a little bit of extra trash. And we did see, obviously, a slight difference in the way that trash was dealt with. I think there was a bunch of trash that was kind of skipped before we were up against Ulrog Kragshaper. So taking care of these forces here before Dargrul kind of makes sense. However, this is eating into the time. 3 minutes left here. 3.5 minutes left. Honestly, I could imagine that Dargrul will die relatively quickly, and I do want to see at what point, and we did actually lose the Clefttooth there, so that's the tank kind of down. Revive Pet immediately coming through, and there we go. Clefttooth is back in action. I'm surprised he hasn't named the Clefttooth. I'm kind of disappointed in that, if I'm honest with you. but once again, doing a great job maintaining 86k here, which, you know, is not a huge amount for some players that are playing the game right now, but when you're still playing solo, that's still an incredibly, incredibly good thing to be having that sustained damage. Is this going to be enough for percentage? I think it should be, and then we'll immediately see Durandil here go for Dogrel. There's the percentage, and now we just go in 2 minutes 45 seconds. Will it be enough to kill Dogrel, Sheik Runner?
Oh yeah, I think he got this. Like, I believe in him. Like, looking at his past damages on the bosses before, I think that he should have this.
Yeah, 115,000, 120,000 DPS on him. The boss is just quite... the boss is melting, but now he's also cleaving the fact he's playing a BM Hunter, right? The BM Hunter just naturally cleaves. These odds wouldn't even be a remotely close problem for him. So it's really good for Durandil right now. If he keeps the DPS on the same level throughout the entire fight, this is going to be close, but maybe two like +2. And if it's not a +2, it is what it is, right? Just go next level.
Yeah, one thing to consider, like, there can always be something that goes wrong. Like, if he wipes here, like, +2 is gonna be gone for sure.
Yeah, and he won't be able to have Bloodlust. That's one, like, the other problem for him. He will definitely not have any burst available for him. Like, sure, his cooldowns will be back, but other than that, nothing else.
I mean, taking a look at what we see here, we do have 1 minute 20 seconds left, 30% left on the boss. So we've basically had a minute and 15 seconds here so far. So I would say that dropping to 35% there, but doing a great job kiting the ad through that, obviously the mountain of spikes, getting the crystal, the crystal breakage on that, being able to do extra damage, but pumping everything into Dogrel. 17%. We're now in execute phase. So once again, we should be seeing this boss dying very, very quickly there. Wasn't able to actually, there we go. The crystal cracked. It has been put onto the ad. So once again, looking comfortable, below 10%. 45 seconds left. Once again, unless anything really, really bad goes wrong, this is going to be a +2 for Durandil. And there it is. There it is, the +2. And interesting point I want to bring up that I was going to bring up before this is we spoke about the high level keys. You know, who's going to get the highest level? Will we see above a +10 along those lines as we catch up on the rest of the group here? Molini still working on that +9. Vortex Pinnacle is heading towards the second boss, Altreus. It looks as though they have been able to take on Grand Vizier Urtran here and clear that one out. Taking a look at the time, still a lot of time left. So going to be feeling confident. And is that going to be a Neltharian's Lair 9 for Durandil? Are they going to be able to attempt that one? That's a brave call.
By the way, they can do +8. The rules allow, just like in TGP, the rules allow you to not go to the highest pushable key, right? Or like the highest key that you pushed. So instead of going to +9, he can opt into going +8. So yeah, he can just get +1 level instead of +2 levels on his key.
Looking here at Thirsty right now, it looks like his dungeon has been going quite well, from what I've been able to tell here, going into the next bit of the dungeon.
Yeah.
Forge Master Goric.
And by the way, one of the things that I want to bring up, Durandil had 100,000 DPS overall across the entire Neltharian's Lair. And he's opting to go into Neltharian's Lair again. I guess
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I guess he's feeling pretty excited about the fact that he managed to push this one on +2. So he's like, in his mind, it's like, yeah, maybe +9. Yeah, he's going +9 on like one chest is possible. And we will see just now.
I mean, as we're seeing him enter that, keep an eye out on Molini as well, pulling once again the trash pack that we saw previously into this boss here. And this is very, very dangerous, having all of this trash here alongside the boss, alongside Altreus, is able to use the haste buff here to try and get as much damage as they possibly can. And we see the winds shifting there once again. That does mean that it is reducing the amount of haste that Molini has and has now moved upwind. So we'll be able to do a bunch of damage. This is once again a +9. We have got, a relatively comfortable situation here. This amount of haste is really going to help his self-healing, being able to get as much as they possibly can, as well as the damage coming through will be looking quite nice. We are seeing it looks as though the damage there, we're looking at about
250,000, yeah.
Yeah.
And HPS is 311,000.
Just DK things.
Yeah.
Just DK things. That's all you need to be thinking about, is take a look at that healing per second. That is absolutely massive. And I was going to point out that as I was saying beforehand, we were talking about, who's going to get, are we going to see a +11? Are we going to see a +12? I'll be honest with you. I think this tournament is going to be decided by the +8s.
I think feels like it.
It's going to be decided by the +8s, and it's going to be decided by whether or not you're able to +2 or +1 them. That's going to be, or the +9s, for example. That's going to be where this tournament is decided. And if that is the case, over the next 2 hours, we could see some real shakeups in what these tournament standings look like, especially as these players really get into the swing of things. They're properly warm now, and I think we saw from Durandale's decision there, he feels comfortable going into Neltharian's Lair. He's just done in Neltharian's Lair. He kind of knows what to expect. Just needs to break through everything.
Yeah, and as we can see, everything's going a lot. Everyone's struggling a lot more than yesterday, ever since the key levels rose. As we can see here, Durandal trying his Neltharian's Lair +9. Again, I assume he wiped on the first pull here again, where he already struggled on a +7. It's gonna be interesting to see if he still opts in to try to do the large pull, or if he's doing it differently here on the +9.
I think it'll be the same.
That's what I'm interested as well about as well, because he needs to do the same thing, right? It has to be the same, the same strat, the same thing, the same way, or better. Otherwise, you're just starting to fall behind, and maybe you won't even be able to pull through. But he seems to be doing fine.
Very comfortable. Bloodlust has been used as well, which is not a big surprise on that trash pack. That trash pack is quite often used as Bloodlust here, because the first boss doesn't really do much. And I think Sheekrunner, a +9 Neltharian's Lair, is a hell of a statement to make against these other players as well.
Yeah, especially considering that he's a hunter and has a lot less self here. And given that we're unfortified, these trash packs, they are no joke. He's struggling way more on the trash than he actually does on the bosses here.
But surprisingly, it took him less pull attempts on +9 than on +7, as long as he just doesn't die here when he's jumping.
No.
Oh my god. That was... Durandale.
I turned into a ghost.
Yeah. Well, seems like everything is stabilized now. He was able to trigger the RP, and now I assume he's just gonna feint. Oh no, he's just trapping this one and waiting for his cooldown. Yeah, okay, the combat is reset. What is he gonna do?
Molini moving on here to the next trash pack here. He just finished with the Drake boss.
Okay, let's see how long it's going to take Durandale to burst through Rockmora here, the first boss. This is +2 now, so these health pools are going to be getting up there. These health pools are going to be getting relatively high. We do see Hursty moving through towards the final boss of Neltharis, Warlord Saga. Town Portal coming in from Durandale. Something not quite right there. I think it was the trash that they pulled on the bridge that caused them issues. Heroic Solo currently fighting off against Forge Master Gorek, I believe, or heading towards Forge Master Gorek. For those of you that do play with Game Sounds on, voiced by Patrick Seitz, the same person who voiced Garrosh in World of Warcraft.
Let's go.
Also voices Jiren in Dragon Ball Super and Endeavor in My Hero Academia. Tip for you. There's the tip for the day.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yep. Patrick Seitz, great voice actor.
I see. Well, at the same time, Hursty on the last boss with a pretty solid big pack, and maybe we will be able to bring the big camera on him. I do not know yet.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Big
Yeah.
camera.
All right, let's see.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you ever drop a star on somebody? There we go. Immediately using Beacon to the Beyond and Shul the Cosmic
15%.
Wanderer. It's such a good trinket. It's so much fun. Preempting getting as many of these as they possibly can. They have the wand. They've also got the charge in as well, and it looks as though they might have another one of them. So this should be relatively comfortable. For them. What are they going to be picking up here? Let's have a look. And they've got the AoE bomb. Okay. So they know exactly the AoE bomb comes in first, and they will also have a very, very good idea of how to use these. They'll preempt them. There is a small cast time. So AoE bomb coming in here. They don't actually have that bound, which surprises me. They don't have that one bound. And then the charge coming in, that should, in theory, break the shield relatively quickly. Oh, no, they've still got a bunch. It looks as though they weren't able to actually break the shield, which is
Maybe the cast
very,
didn't
very nasty.
go off, which was really weird, but it's super dangerous now.
They had the wand, but I think the wand has, you have to stand still. You have to stand still during it, and they didn't, which I believe is what is causing the issue. It works in the same way that you would imagine sort of like the magic missiles and stuff like that. So this is really not good. Hursty there is going to be dying, and that's
no.
It's still timeable, but that's a step backwards for Hursty there.
Yeah, definitely. That's a little bit unfortunate for him, and we're gonna be I thought the stars gonna align and everything is gonna be fine, but some of the damage not going through, that stings, to say the least.
Yeah, that hoits.
But what we can see with Hursty here, like we've just seen like a +7 Fire and Slayer being +2'd. Now with Hursty we see like his Fire is +7. It's a different dungeon, but as we can see, like the lack of single target damage on the bosses really comes into play here with like the damage that a hunter can output versus a tank.
Yeah. And I mean, we're seeing Durandil wiping on that first boss Rockmora. Once again, the damage that comes through, very, very high. Forge Master Gorek still being worked on here by Heroic Solo. It's not too much of a worry for them. It's a very, very fun boss, actually. Forge Master Gorek is an incredibly fun boss. I remember when Neltharis was the first dungeon in Dragonflight Alpha. I was so excited. So excited by this boss, and still am to this day. I think it is absolutely excellent. Durandil here does look like they have a slightly different start. They're not pulling as much trash here, which again is incredibly dangerous trash. Malini moving on, still dealing with a bunch of ads, and this is there's no way they're going to take this towards the final boss.
Oh, it looks like
if they take this towards Assad on a +9, that is horrifying, to say the least.
Yeah, especially considering like what we saw on the +7. It looked not like he was safe there on Assad last time.
Yeah, we're about to see on the big camera what's going on with him. I'm interested. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That trinket just removing 10% of the boss's life. So that's
it's beautiful.
Really,
Beacon to the Beyond
really
and Shul, the Wandering, just dropping a star on people. It's great fun.
And we see like the few trash mobs
yeah, the
already.
Trash is already coming. Now this is where it's gonna start to ramp up in difficulty super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be scary. This is going to be very, very scary, and it's not going to be. I mean, realistically, for for Malini here, this is not going to be incredibly. This is not going to be different from what we just saw in the +7. This is not. The +8. This is not going to be that different. It will be effectively the same thing, dealing with the same mechanics. It's just that they will be hitting just that little bit extra, and sometimes just that little bit extra is all you need. And taking a look here, it's obviously not going to be a +2. This will be a +1 Vortex Pinnacle. The amount of time that is left is, I mean, we've got a minute left, and the boss is only at 76%. There's not that much damage coming out here. I mean, there is a lot of damage coming out, 165k, but it is not directed. It's all basically AoE damage here between these ads, and we're going to be playing ping pong. Malini at 900, nearly a million health. There's the million health. So Malini is going to be dealing a bunch of damage, and the destabilize goes off as well. The destabilize goes off, and we're going to see a second destabilize, and this is very, very quickly going to potentially.
That's friendly. He mind controlled it. That's friendly.
That's okay. That's clever. I did not realize that was a thing. That is incredibly clever.
It's one of the points that I was talking about at the start when he started doing his +8, that he's able to mind control those, control undead, and then they are friendly, and then they can
just delete DKs.
Yeah, it's the hero class in action.
They can be like friendly, and then they apply an active damage mitigation to the enemies instead, which is really good.
That's just filthy. That's really, I mean, I'm talking as a warrior here, and I've got nothing.
Yeah, but then there is Hunter as well that can trap one of the incorporeals, and then he can cast Scare Beast on the other incorporeal, so he is able to crowd control two at the same time. And we have seen Durandil do that.
Yeah, I mean, hunters have got to have something. They have literally nothing else, so they have to have something to bring into it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, Hunter's not in the best position as it currently stands. Would love to see them get a little bit more. We are seeing Malini here. Are they going to be able to? There it is. Once again, control undead, and this does mean that we are going to be having a bunch of debuffs being put out here. And this plus, this +2 is going to be this +1. Taking up to a 10, do we think they attempt the Vortex Pinnacle 10? Because how long did they take there last time? It was what,
24 minutes.
So yeah, they're already above that. They're already above that. And they have, I mean, they're at 44, 43% now. They've got 5 minutes. It should be doable. But again, we're going to be looking at sort of around about the 27, 28% mark. That's another 3 minutes. For a +10, they're going to have to really push it to complete that one.
Yeah, I think that we're probably gonna see him move on to another dungeons, and like you said earlier, Kex, we'll come down to like the +8s, +9s that they're gonna push it at some point earlier, rather than like going to like the extremely high maximum of the key level. I think that that's what we can expect him to see. We can expect him to go to like other dungeons first, I believe. Unless Molini is a person that has surprised us a lot with going into like an Alfaris +10 yesterday and actually managing it.
Yeah, he died once, but he had like a really, really good timer on it, so it was all right, and he still timed it on +1. I don't think this boss poses any threats now that the all of the ads are over, and we can switch to. We can switch to the.
We see Durandil back in the start of the Alfaris. There's something must have gone wrong with his key.
Hursty at the same time, he was able to time his Nalfarus on +7 on one chest, and he's now moving to Ulduar to try and time that one.
Ulduman.
Yeah.
One chest. That's a terminology I haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, I throw back to Legion. We already talked about it yesterday. At the same time, though, we see Heroic Solo attempt his Nalfarus +4, and it already kind of hurts for him, but he's on the last boss, and I guess that will be a +1 for Heroic Solo, unless he just stumbles and fails to time it, death
4
or
minutes
just not
on the
enough
clock
damage.
with Warlord Saga, and you're having to deal with a shield, and you're a tank. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, very tight for him.
Yeah, that's going to be scary. We are seeing Durandil, by the way, dealing with this first trash pack, and I think this first trash pack isn't the issue. I think it might be the first boss that has been causing issues, and once again, going up to a +9, that is a relatively high jump up there. That we do see. It does look as though we've got to get another gold pile here for Heroic Solo to deal with what is happening, and it doesn't quite look like they've been able to pick one up. There it is. There comes the bombs. The bomb's going to be thrown. That's going to be broken, but we have wasted over 30 seconds here, and the boss's health has not moved that much. Should still be doable, but it's going to be tight. Meanwhile, Hursty has moved into Ulduman. Ulduman is the dungeon of choice now. Trying to get through that one. That one is a +7 again. Legacy of Tia, which does feature one of the best voice lines in the entire game.
Which one is it?
Tears, marvelous mustache.
Okay.
Which I actually have as my subscription sound alert on my Twitch channel.
That's great. Meanwhile, Molini also moving to Uldamans, who is gonna be looking at 2 Uldamans, and he was able to +1 his Vortex Pinnacle on the 9th difficulty. So,
oh no, Hursty, just
restarting. Quick reset.
The one thing that we can definitely expect here from Molini, I believe, is that he's gonna do a giant pull in the beginning, like the Molini special, like we called it yesterday. I expect him to for sure do it here.
Why does that sound like a sandwich?
Yeah, you go to Subway and you ask for a Molini special, and then they bring you like a massive bun with all the filled meat of the dead monsters.
Yep.
Yeah, and the boss on top of it.
Couple of bones, you'll be fine. We see Durandil here taking on the Rockmora, the first boss, and this once again has been, I think, the issue that they have been having on this +9 now Tharian's Lair. We'll keep one eye on that. I'm also keeping one eye on Heroic Solo. Hursty has reset their Uldaman, something not quite going right for them, and we're seeing another shield. 1 minute 30. This is really going to come down to the wire for Heroic Solo, and not timing this. It's not the end of the world here, Sheik Runner, but you've got to imagine in a tournament setting, that's a substantial amount of time that you are down. Although, as I say that, the 100% damage kicking in alongside the breath, just absolutely deleting some of the health off of Saga. So I'm quietly confident that this will be a kill in time, but once again, probably a little bit too close for comfort for Heroic.
Yeah, the thing that has me worried here is like going forward with Nelfarus here for Heroic Solo. Is he going to even manage to be able to do like the level 5 key here if he chooses to do it? I think he's probably going to opt in to like doing other dungeons first and maybe come back to this later, but looking at the timer here, it looked very close on a +4 already.
Yeah, it did looking, and that was my worry. I was worried even then that we were going to see another shield phase, which was just going to cause absolute havoc. Durandil maintaining their damage on Rockmara here, doing a great job in getting through that. Nobody looking too scared right now. We do see 2 of these incorporeals coming out. The Scare Beast alongside the Trap, doing a great job in dealing with those. Very, very simple. And we do see actually moving over immediately. Great play here from Durandil, realizing, hey, the boss is very, very low. Let's start to move over towards the exit to this room so that we can get through as quickly as possible. Molini doing a pretty big pull. Looks as though they are currently on the first boss here, the Vikings, which is, again, another fantastic boss. Hursty doing pretty much the same thing, I believe, although actually could be going through a slightly different route here than Molini. We'll have to keep an eye out on that one. And we do have the, once again, the Incorporeal doing a fantastic job. The Control Undead, making it part of your damage, part of your rotation almost. Yeah, Control Undead, we just keep that one. Heroic Solo also moving over towards Uldaman here. Durandil, the only one still in Neltharian's Lair.
By the way, did you guys know that those fire puddles don't actually scale with the key difficulty? So it's the initial hit, the swirly, that does a lot of damage in this boss. I'm talking about the Uldaman. And as soon as the swirly hits, you can stand in fire. It ticks like for 100 damage. Just doesn't scale. Well, not 100, but maybe like a 500.
I did not know that. I know that. Oh, Molini, that's very dangerous. Purgatory has been procced. There we go. That's exactly the danger I was talking about with DKs. Is after the boss finish, they had a dot left on them. Nobody to hit, nobody to heal off, and Molini just dropping their Purgatory procced as well. So that could potentially,
insta restart.
Yeah, insta restart, and that's one of those things that's. We talk about how impressive DKs are, and Molini is, as a DK player, but a very, very, one of the things that you have to be aware of that will happen with DKs if they don't have anybody around.
Yeah, maybe he should be like leaving one of the trash mobs alive just to make sure that if he quits the fight, like ends the fight with the first boss with the dot, that he's able to hit something, so he doesn't die like this, because that was very unfortunate. He was doing a pretty good job, but just yeah, unlucky
Yeah, it's
situation to
amazing
be
to
in.
see like the amount of like big pulls like he's able to do. But sometimes even this can like be too risky, and maybe going a little bit less pull size sometimes might come into beneficial for Molini here.
Yeah,
It really
heroic solo
depends.
on the first boss
Oh.
with a huge group. Molini going to be doing the same thing. Hursty has killed the Lost Vikings. Will be moving over to that next box, Bromac, which once again I remember being incredibly painfully overtuned on the Dragonflight Alpha. It was horrific.
Even after all of the adjustments, it's still a very horrible boss to deal with, especially on super high keys. It's a nightmare.
Thankfully, it's not tyrannical.
Yeah, true, big true. Otherwise, this
Yeah.
could have been just a backbreaker.
Durandill's
Yeah,
had to
that's
reset
right.
again.
It's just a situation with Durandill right now. If he doesn't get a really like a perfect start with Neltharion Lair, like, you know, if anything just goes wrong, he has to restart. But that means that every single time he goes there, he is expected to go just a little bit further into the dungeon. You know, it's like boss progression, but this is like a dungeon progression for him in terms of soloing.
Yeah, I agree. And like at this point, like he needs to have things go right. Otherwise, he's not gonna manage to get the timer here. So going with less might just not be an option for him.
Yeah, but big respect to Durandil attempting this. Oh no, just a big bonk, unlucky, go again. But just as I was about to say, big respect for him to continuously trying this +9, considering the timer is fighting against him. And it's already been like an hour and 15 minutes into the game. So we have like a 1 hour and 50 minutes technically, because they started like 5 minutes later compared to our broadcast. So we will be giving them just a little bit of a leeway, right? It's not going to be insta-locked at 22 Central European time. It's just going to be like locked just a little bit later to make sure that they actually get their 3 hours of gameplay instead of like 2 hours and 20, you know, like 54, 53 minutes and whatnot.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is a very. I mean, with Durandil right now, it's effectively just a case of getting through this first section. Once you get through the first section, it does ease up slightly. You can control the trash packs a little bit better. Whereas right now, they just do so much damage. It is, you know, you cannot underestimate this first area. It is the most dangerous, for my money, the most dangerous part of the dungeon. Molini has been able to clear up the Lost Vikings. We'll be moving over to Bromac now. We do see Hursty working on Bromac, doing everything they possibly can. 50% on the boss right now. Meanwhile, Heroic Solo has also cleared up the first boss and is moving over. But look at the difference in key levels. +7 Hursty, +8 Molini, and a +3 for Heroic Solo right now. So a variance across the key levels, being able to do is, you know, get as quickly as they can. And Molini did fall behind, obviously, because of that death after the first boss. I'd be interested to see, Sheik Runner, is Molini going to be able to catch up with Hursty here?
I believe like Hursty is gonna take the lead here in this dungeon, but it's going to be very hard to see. Like looking at like what Molini has been historically capable, it wouldn't surprise me for it to go either way for Molini or Hursty here. I think it would actually be also like interesting to see what the current standings actually are for the leaderboard.
Yeah, we can bring up the leaderboard really quickly.
For
and
people tuning in just now, as you can see, like Molini here is like in the lead right now, followed by a Hursty, then Durandil, and then Heroic Solo. So as we can see, like Molini for surely has the capabilities of catching up with Hursty here, but we need to really see how this is gonna turn out.
Yeah. this is a big ask as well for folks to catch up to Molini. We have seen, I mean, Durandil is the only person that has a key level higher than what Molini has, that +7 that we do see from Neltharion's Lair compared to Molini's +5. And the +9 still going strong here for Durandil. But I mean, I was just taking a look at the actual, that first trash back on Durandil, and their Cleft Hoof is effectively just getting globaled. There are so many hits coming through on that. And I think it's one of those situations where you kind of almost have to just consistently reset. If this works and I'm able to kill all of these in this time frame, then we're good. Once I can get through that, if I can just survive that initial big chunk of damage that comes through, if we go full screen on Durandil, now we will probably see kind of similar to what I mean in regards to that initial big hit that comes in. Because once again, it is a very rough position for Durandil to be in with that Cleft Hoof. So you'll see what will happen here. We'll see Durandil move forward, use camouflage, get through this first trash back, avoid the basilisks that are on the side here. Then you'll see them send the Cleft Hoof and their ads in towards this Vile Shard Hulk, and then they'll also pull the Worms and the Scorpion behind them. But it's this first initial bit of damage. Look at how much damage the Cleft Hoof takes during this, and it's almost, I mean, the last time this happened, it was effectively a global. The Cleft Hoof came in, all the ads hit the Cleft Hoof was dead. This time Durandil has done a great job keeping the Cleft Hoof alive. As I say that, they're still dropping low. And if they can clear through this trash, it's a lot more simple for them moving forward. And again, this is something that they're able to do very quickly. But as I said, the Cleft Hoof, you see how quickly the Cleft Hoof dies there. There's nothing you can really do. They are able to get the revive pet off, and they have used their turtle. So again, a lot used here, but surviving just about as I say that Durandil goes down. The caster curse is real, but that's how dangerous that pull is. It's so rough, and it's so close to being pulled off that once Durandil does, it then makes the key. It then opens the key up for them to continue effectively.
Yeah, pretty much. But he needs to go through it. It's like when you're watching TGP and then the guys in the teams are pushing +30s, and where it's basically like, if you can do this massive pull at the start, you are continuing. If you can't, you consistently restart until you're able to pull like +30, +31 even at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And as we can see, Molini and Hersey are still like kind of like at the same spot, with Hersey currently having the boss a little bit lower than Molini, I believe. But
it's close.
About even. Yeah, it's about even actually, now that I look at it.
Yeah, but the difference is 1 key level.
Yeah, that is true as well. Molini is here on an 8, while Hersey is on a 7.
Yeah, and Heroic Solo is also at the same point in the dungeon, but maybe just a little bit behind in the boss DPS. But like he started the boss at a different time. He entered the dungeon at a different moment. So it's not really like a comparison between all of the tanks. But one of the things that we can compare is that he's doing this on +3 instead of +7 or +8 for the matter.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at Molini. Molini is obviously much further behind on that boss damage, but still continuing to push as hard as they possibly can. We are seeing the same pull coming out of Durandil here. They want to claim this +9 Neltharion's Lair. That would be huge for them. That would give them, once again, a lot of freedom to do some later keys. Heroic Solo still pushing hard, and it does look as though that first pull has come off for Durandil. There are still some dangerous moments. They still have to deal with the first boss. But that's the first step completed for that Neltharion's Lair. And it does, for my money, get slightly easier from here on out for him.
Yeah, definitely. Only 2 enemies remaining, or like, well, a couple of very small odds that will get cleaved down in a couple of GCDs, but most of the danger is gone. Now he just needs to get over the next pool and the first boss. And then we're technically chilling in this dungeon, and Durandil can continue attempting to time this +9, but this is definitely like really the limit at this point for him. I don't think he will be able to do +10 this on this, but if he is able to, that would be giga impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Heroic Solo is dropping very low as he just died to the boss. Oof, that's gonna hurt his time. But he doesn't give up, and gonna go straight into action. Doesn't even restart the key. Just finishes it off.
Yeah, he made sure to rest as fast as possible and run there so he can get rid of these two low health odds. These odds really hurt, and like as soon as they get maybe 6-7 stacks, you should be continuously running away from them as a demon hunter. But you don't have a team to help you kill them while you're kiting, and you don't have a healer to heal you up. So he's forced to stay and continuously take massive hits as these ads get angrier and get angrier with time. But at least he has an AoE stun to make sure that he is resetting the damage stacks, because if you stun these lizard wizards, they get damage done to them debuff, so like you do 50% more damage to them, and they the small ads, they reset their damage stacks, but the boss just gets stunned and reset their energy.
It's interesting to see, kind of the little things that they do to manipulate these dungeons, which again is just coming through constantly doing these dungeons. Malini once again has cleared. We do see them clearing Talondras there, and we do have Hursty doing the same thing, making their way towards Emberon, which is another fantastic boss. And honestly, Ultimate Legacy of Tyr, I think it's an incredible dungeon. I think it's fantastic, as we do see out of the the dungeon pools that we do have coming in. We've spoken about these ones here. I just want to get your quick thoughts. Season 3, the dungeon pool that we do have coming in. Come to you first, Cheek Runner. How do you feel about the Season 3 dungeon pool?
So one dungeon that I'm specifically interested about is like Vortex Pinnacle, as like a dungeon.
You mean
it's like
in the
not Vortex Pinnacle. I mean Throne of the Tides. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Because like I'm really interested to see like what if Blizzard does anything crazy to the dungeon, like what we've seen, like maybe some changes like we've seen with Vortex Pinnacle. Maybe we see some similar changes like in Throne of the Tides, because the dungeon is quite unique. We also like see a lot of old familiar dungeons from in season 3. But there's not anything that in particular that excites me. But I'm really interested in like the Throne of the Tides one.
No, I really don't like the fact that they are bringing Cataclysm dungeons in. But then, if they're bringing Cataclysm dungeons in, maybe they should start bringing Wrath of the Lich King dungeons too. And out of those, I would, let's just take it a step further. I would like to see Halls of Reflections. I think that's.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about Hall of Reflection. That one's gonna.
Yeah, that would be a very, very difficult dungeon. But I love the Gauntlet. In the end, it just feels like you're under the pressure, and it's a really well done dungeon in terms of like RP, right? And in terms of like storytelling, it's an amazing dungeon. But it's going to be a difficult one if it becomes an M+. But I would be happy to play it. And the other one,
it's always interesting.
I would like not the Drak Tower on Keep, but the other one with the trolls.
Gundrak.
Yes, Gundrak.
Oh yeah, Gundrak.
I like
that one.
I
can actually imagine being a good fit for M+. It's like it always depends like which person you ask, because most of the time people just don't want to deal with roleplay. So like a dungeon like Reflection has a lot of it. Like even like Throne of the Tides has like this elevator, so you might have to just wait for the elevator cycle and line up the pulls so that you.
I feel like there needs to be a script that only starts an elevator as soon as you enter the room, right? Because imagine the RNG that you're about like going to be fighting, and your key can be just doomed if you get bad RNG on an elevator, especially on the higher levels of the key. I don't think that's a great that should be adjusted. That elevator has to be like changed for that dungeon to be more or less, fair, because otherwise it's I don't think that's fair.
If it's like on a global time, we would probably see people have like weak hours to combat it and like know when the elevator is there and when not. I could definitely imagine that being a thing.
Or just put a lever on it.
Oh
True.
yeah,
True.
Just put a lever on it so that you press it. Oh, away you go. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. We do see Durandil here moving hard. It does look as though the cleft tooth has died. Is Durandil going to be able to survive through this one? It's going to be very, very tight. It looks as though they are, but again, an incredibly difficult trash pack here. And it does. The cleft tooth has died. No, cleft tooth is still alive, but Durandil has got aggro on everything. Down goes Durandil. That will be a very, very quick reset there. Once again in Altharian's lair, +9. Malini working on Emberon very, very slowly. Very, very slowly working on Emberon, but did pull a substantial amount of trash into this room here. Hursty doing the exact same thing, and it does look as though, I mean, I'm keeping an eye out on the health percentages here, and I don't want to say that this is exactly what's happening, but has Malini caught up here, Sheik Runner?
yeah, I was thinking about that too. I mean, it looks like it, I would say.
I would say that Hersey is just a little bit ahead. Molini is just stepping on his fucking.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, he's just right behind him, breathing into his back like, yo, I'm right behind there, buddy.
But it's amazing to see how Molini is able to almost catch up to him, considering he's like a key level higher.
Yeah, it's impressive, and it just shows the power of the DK. The big question is, once we get into this final pull here, how quick? And the reason I think why Malini has been able to catch up is the speed at which they can gather up mobs and the amount of mobs that they can gather. So I'm wondering, I'm going to keep an eye on how many mobs Malini is going to pull here. Hursty being pretty conservative with their pull amounts. Malini, on the other hand, seems to have gone, oh, there's ads. I'm taking them, all of them. I'm going to take every single one of them. Going the wrong way there, unfortunately, that will cost Malini a little bit of time, not a massive amount, as they try to exit the room here. Heroic Solo still working on Emberon themselves. Does look as though they will go into that transition phase where they do have these ads. They will have to kill every single one of these ads to get back onto the boss. Meanwhile, Durandil is still working on the same trash pack in Neltharian's lair. And, as they often say, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Durandil is going to be finding different results. I can feel it.
Yeah, he goes through the section, and he goes through it quite often. Seems like he's done progressing it, and he mostly like now knows what to press and when to press and to make sure that his pet is alive. The last attempt was just a little bit unfortunate. I feel like he just was a one GCD too slow with using his pet heal, right? And since the pet heal is a hot instead of an instant heal, the pet was just unable to heal up all of his health back, and he just died through auto attacks. And that was I would say, mismanagement of his pet cooldown. Otherwise, he was doing really well. And yeah, just like you said, he's getting different results all the time. So, and like every single time I glance at Durandil, he's consistently getting to the first boss.
Yeah,
every single time. So that's good.
He's getting there. Also, the scary thing I do want to point out, I mentioned the difference in pull size between Hursty and Malini. This demonstrates it. Hursty has cleared all the trash up in individual packs up to this room. Malini has bought all the trash into this room. There's a very big difference between the two of them. So, yeah, slightly different. Malini, once again, catching up in regards to placement inside the dungeon. But you take a look at trash percentage, you take a look at how long it's going to take Malini to clear this up versus how long it's going to take Hursty. Completely night and day between the two. So I thoroughly appreciate the approach they're going for, that not only utilizes what they're, obviously what they're also Malini pulling the trash in from the next room as well, pulling this infinite dragon flight trash once again.
Okay, now you can see the Molini special.
this is really dangerous, because of those infinite dragons or dragonites, whatever, they apply a very heavy dot on you, which also slows you. So he has to be super careful about what he's doing on this trash pack. He needs to, like, these two adds that he just pulled add like another 50% of the difficulty to this pull, pretty much, because of how much that dot hurts.
I mean, to be fair, though, if they're slowing DKs are slow enough anyway. You can't subtract anything from 0 already. So not having to worry about that on the Death Knight. Durandil here on the first boss, once again getting here relatively comfortably. It's the area afterwards that has caused a couple of issues. Heroic Solo working on Emberon. Emberon is going to die very, very quickly. There we go.
Oh no,
Emberon has
Durandil is like
down.
on 2% HP. He's very...
Ooh, don't worry about it, Durandil. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're
Health
fine.
is just a number.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're above 0, you're okay. There's no need to panic. There is absolutely no need to worry. And there we go. A huge shield coming in just before that smash, and Durandil is going to be able to be quite comfortable there. Malini still not through this trash, still working through it slowly but surely. Meanwhile, Hursty has moved on to the last sort of section leading up to the final boss, Chrono Lord Deus, which, as we know, is a boss in the Mega Dungeon. I'm assuming that both of you have done the new Mega Dungeon?
Yeah, of course.
How amazing is that dungeon?
It's a really good one. I don't like Morchi. Yeah, but other fights are quite crazy, and I really like them.
Malini, you clever beast. Skipping those trash packs and immediately going into these final two, which will give Malini... No, Malini already has count. Yeah. So now Malini's just going straight towards Chrono Lord. Love to see that. Hursty, meanwhile, is having to deal with this trash pack, which is not the end of the world, but...
It's a very difficult one because of the haste that you're losing. But then, at the same time, Hursty doesn't have any haste. He plays full Crete verse and some mastery. If you squint hard enough, you will be able to see that he has like 1% haste, maybe 2. So yeah, that debuff doesn't matter for him.
For people who have no idea about like soloing, historically speaking, Blood Death Knights have always been very strong soloists. Like with the likes of players such as Regrin or my own LoL, taking a lot of world first solo kills back in the day. So it's no surprising to see Molini here destroying this dungeon here on a +8, looking to maybe even +2 it.
Yeah. +2 is definitely on board.
It's not even close to like to be +1, so it's all good. One of the problems though for Blood DKs is that when you have 2 of the incorporeal ads spawning, that's when you have a problem. Because you don't have another super hard CC, right? You have a stun, you have an interrupt, and then you have an anti-magic shell, right? And that's what he needs to use, all of those 3, to make sure that he doesn't get debuffed, and he's able to CC that ad and stop him from casting that nasty damage down debuff.
Yeah, I mean the ads that come in, the incorporeal ads, they're not realistically the I don't think they're the end of the world for a lot of these players. We do see Malini here slowly but surely taking the boss, doing a great job in actually managing this sand that comes through. And this boss on some higher keys is exceptionally scary because you run out of room. If you're not careful, you can run out of room so fast in this final arena. So doing a great job at being able to manage those one. Hursty doing the exact same thing, slightly different. We see Hursty in the middle of the arena. Meanwhile, Malini has taken Chrono Lord Deus towards the edge there. So trying to kind of, contain these around. So moving around slowly. Hursty doing the exact opposite. Planting feet in the middle and say, right, let's duke it out. Me and you, Chrono Lord, we got this. We can see that we pretty much neck and neck between them. There is a 1 key level difference between them in favor of Malini. Malini on a +8, I believe, +7 on the side of Hursty. Meanwhile, Durandil, it's the same old story. The first boss, Rockmora here, being able to get through that as quickly as they possibly can. That +9, it almost seems like it's their personal mountain to climb here, Sheik Runner.
Yes, I see it as well. Looking at Durandil, I really see him like giving his best at like Nefaran's Lair, and I really believe that he's able to pull this off. Like he for sure believes in himself. as we can see with him constantly retrying the dungeon when something is going wrong. Us being back at like the first boss here.
I
Yeah.
feel like at this point, maybe the timer is playing against you, right? If you want to get the keys done, you need to eventually, if this is not working, just move on and do the next thing. You still have other 3 keys to time on +7, and then maybe get a +8 in, or maybe 2 +8s, right? But
Yeah.
if he's gonna continuously be beating against the wall and try to climb this mountain of his, he just will run out of time to do other keys.
Yeah, I think at this point it's actually like he can always go back to this dungeon later on. So I'm completely there with you that maybe like 1 or more tries that he does, he really should consider like maybe switching it up and going like with the easier keys first to boost his score. Because in the end, it's about like the total score that you have, not about like the highest key you pushed.
However, is it fair to say that if Durandil is able to say, for example, this is the attempt for Durandil, and Durandil is able to get this +9 done, you then have realistically, I mean, let's say we 20 minutes on this, 25 minutes, you've got an hour ish, but we'll say an hour for ease of math. Then you'll have an hour left to push through the rest of the keys, and it's easier to push through keys that are, say, a +5 or +7 when you have kind of a limited amount of time. You're a little bit more relaxed on a +5 and a +7 than you would be on a +9. So it's entirely possible that this is effectively just a way for Durandil to be thinking to themselves, hey, I can kind of relax after this one, which will make the preceding keys easier because I'm relaxed, and those keys themselves are easier than what I'm dealing with here. So I think it's, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just think I think it's more of an interesting tactic here for Durandil. They're playing a little bit, they're being a little bit clever with their time.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you make there.
Yeah, I see the point that you are trying to make, and to a degree, I agree with you. But then at the same time, there is a Vortex Pinnacle that needs to be done on maybe at least like +5 for him, because he was only able to time +4, maybe on +6. And then do Notharus do Uldaman too. But if he wants to set the records, yeah, sure, this is the dungeon to set the record on, because Durandil would be the first one to get a +9 on Notharian's lair compared to other players, because he's the only one that is attempting it right now on this high level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, speaking of attempting keys on high levels, Hursty is moving on to a +7 Vortex Pinnacle. Malini, meanwhile, is stepping into Neltharian's lair. So I'm going to be interested to see where Malini does decide to go with that one. Both of them completing, both Malini and Hursty completing the 8 and 7 Alderman Legacy of Tier respectively between them. So they're going to be continuing to push on here. Durandil is into this trouble section here, where they have a lot of ads to be dealing with. This one has been causing them some issues. They've been making a couple of different changes, and so far looking relatively comfortable. Now that I've said that, watch them reset in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, Custard cursed instantly. At the same time, though, Heroic Solo, he has 5 minutes left on the clock, and +3 will definitely be timed. He just needs to be done with a boss slowly and surely, and don't do anything fancy. Just follow the strat, cleave the trash, and the key that he's doing will be timed. Yeah.
It's gonna be very interesting to see how Molini handled Neferen's lair compared to Durandil, seeing it like side to side like this.
You can already see that he's handling it much better.
Yeah, this is like the strength of a tank, like just being able to have much better survivability. Like this pull for Durandil is, it's not an easy one, but for Molini as a blood DK, he's making it look a lot easier.
Yeah, by the way, Durandil, he managed to do this scary pool that was giving him troubles previous attempts. He dealt with it, and it's fine now. But then the next pool, this is the one of the scarier pools, right? This entire section, starting from the end of this river or lake or whatever you like to call it, and until the second boss, is as scary as the first section of the dungeon. So he really needs to do a good job here, surviving and dealing damage. But again, he's playing DPS, so he's pumping twice as much compared to what the tanks can do in single target. So if he's able to kill the priority targets like these pelters really fast, the danger of him dying from all of those I forgot the cost. I forgot the name of the ability, but the rock throws, yeah, and whatnot.
You mean the pelters?
Yes, yes. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they're called, but yeah, as soon as the pelters are dead, there's barely any threat of dying for Durandil. So as long as he's able to burst them down, it's all good.
So what I'm thinking here is that I don't think that there's any way for Durandal to +2 this. So, but like, given that like with the level 7 key he had, he still had like a significant amount of time left. Last time, that maybe going here a little bit slower, but like to being safe and sorry is like the play for him here, because like +2 is very out of the question, I think. So just making sure you get the +1 here, I think, would be the play for him.
For sure. And especially considering that he's this far into a dungeon means that he needs to keep this one alive and just put himself into a mindset where it doesn't matter if you're doing +2 or +3 or whatever. Just make sure that you are timing this dungeon instead, because so much time has been spent for Durandil progressing all of those pools and getting better at them, that at this point in time, I feel like he should not be doing any risky moves.
Yeah, he shouldn't be taking a look at this and kind of turning around to himself and saying, "Hey, I need to do anything crazy here. Just take your time with it, relax. Not push for a +2. Just get the completion done and out of the way, and then you can start moving on to other things. That rockfall is really dangerous. So you can see just clipping Durandil, and Durandil immediately dropping down to the 20% health, which again, relatively scary. But they've passed that lake section. They have passed the first section as well, so it should be a little bit more comfortable for them. Heroic Solo has completed the Alderman Legacy of Tia. That is a pelter, though. Look at the amount of damage that Durandil immediately took there.
That's really
Once again,
scary.
it's very, very scary. It's very scary. We do see Malini has dealt with the first boss and is going to be moving through to the same sort of area that we did see Durandil very, very, very recently in. Hursty, meanwhile, taking on this Vortex Pinnacle +7, does seem as though they have defeat there. Moving up to towards the first boss. There you can see the first boss, Grand Vizier Ertran, as the first boss. Not taking the ads in the same way that Malini does. Not everybody is as crazy as Malini. And I'm now interested to see where Heroic Solo is going to go. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Where are they going to end up?
I could see him in Vortex Pinnacle. I don't think we have seen him there a lot of times yet.
Yeah, yesterday he was able to time a +2 key on one chest, and that was really, really close to the timer. That's like a nightmare dungeon for him. I talked to him and he said, "Yeah, dude, I'm being crowd controlled for like half of the dungeon there, and I just can't deal with it. It's a nightmare dungeon." And he also barely practiced it because he thought it's such a cancer dungeon that somebody's gonna ban it.
Oh, it's Nepharus by the looks of it.
Oh, interesting. Now, Tharis for Heroic Solo. We did see Heroic Solo getting very, very close on their previous attempt. They very nearly ran out of time. So again, interesting to see how they play this Neltharis, if they do anything slightly different here. Durandil, meanwhile, still working hard on these mobs. You can see the pelters coming in 50k every single time those pelters connect. 50k plus every single time they connect, which again is incredibly, incredibly terrifying. But a lot of self heals coming through there. There's the pelter dead, so they now no longer have to worry about that one. They'll move on to the boss, and away they go, looking comfortable as things stands, as is Malini here, looking comfortable, moving on towards Ulrog Cragshaper, the second boss of Neltharian's lair, dealing with this very differently than Durandil did. Durandil was able to camouflage their way through, avoid a lot of this trash. Malini, meanwhile, says, oh, trash, yeah, bring that with me. Hursty, dealing with Grand Vizier Ertran, the first boss, has dealt with the ads as well, looking relatively comfortable, and Heroic Solo has just started their Neltharis run here.
Molini pulls so much trash that you may as well call him a trash master.
Trash Master should be a title in game.
I think it is. Yeah, it is. The Trash Master is the title that you're getting for getting a cloak from junkyards. Yes. So you can be a Trash Master.
Oh, I need to get that.
Yeah, but one thing that you can work towards, yeah.
But with that cloak, you have to actually equip it.
Yeah, you cannot. To
have the title.
But no,
but like we said yesterday, every boss fight is a ad fight if you just take all the ads with you. The boss, like what Molini likes to do.
Yeah, the boss is just a very big ad with a huge health pool and specific mechanics to deal with.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so you can still get it. I'm absolutely gonna have to do that now.
I think there is a cloak that you're able to get the title with, and keep the title disregarding the wearing of the cloak.
So what you do is you get the cloak from original Mechagon, and then you go to Johnny, and Johnny has a quest for you. And you complete it. It basically just gives you the title. So you can do it. You can do it. Malini here, again, I just want to point out the difference here in Durandil and Malini. Durandil working on Ulrog Cragshaper, second boss in Neltharian's lair. Clean area. Everyone's nice and comfortable. Meanwhile, Malini is running around like a headless chicken. Trying to get everything. But this is effectively, the meme of the two people. One of them is singing the song, and the other one's sweating, pounding their keyboard. This is effectively it. This is the difference between the two.
Pretty much. But also, Durandil is doing that on +9. Malini is on +8. But nobody stops to go on +11 or +8. +10 for Malini on the next run, right? If he times it on +2 or +3. Depending on what happens. But for Durandil, I think this is the limit in this dungeon.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, like every part of this dungeon for Durandil is like a big, big challenge. I'm interested to see how he's going to handle like the third boss. We've seen him in previous runs struggle with it occasionally, I believe. So after this boss, it's for sure no breeze for him for this. But it looks like right now he is as stable as it can get.
Yeah, Durandil is definitely in a good shape right now. Heroic Solo doing a massive first pull in that Neltharis on +5. Gonna try to get it timed for himself. So yeah.
The one thing I do like is the fact that we are seeing that sort of setup of Durandil doing a lot more damage to these bosses, clearing through them a lot quicker here. The +2 probably not going to be on, but Durandil kind of just needs to relax on that one. The +2 is potentially on board for Malini, but is going to have to require some exceptional play here from the DK that we have seen pull off incredible plays so far. Meanwhile, Heroic Solo still working through this first trash. Have they reset? I think they might have reset.
We're talking about Heroic Solo here, right?
Yeah, because I think I've seen them do this trash pack before, but maybe they might have pulled something different. Now Tharos does kind of look similar across the board. I don't think they've reset, but they may have done. Hursty definitely hasn't reset. We are seeing them moving towards Altarius there, the second boss of the dungeon. Again, pool's not quite as big as we see out of Malini, but still doing a very, very good job on those ones here. And we're kind of coming towards the final third of this tournament, and you've got to imagine, Sheik Runner, that it's one thing to say, oh, you only played for 3 hours. That doesn't sound like that long of a time. But when you are playing at the level that these folks are at, and you're playing in a tournament setting, it's an entirely different feeling. There's a lot more pressure on you, and it can really wipe you out, especially if you're spending this long concentrating constantly.
And knowing from my own experience, this is definitely something that is true. You're so in your zone. You're like the surroundings around you. You just you don't even recognize them, and you're just like so focused the whole time through that like 3 hours can seem like 10 hours, especially when it's really important for you to do a good job. This is especially true, I think. So I think that they're going to be worn out after this tournament today.
I'm going to be worn out watching. I don't know about playing. The amount of stuff that they are going through right now is incredibly, incredibly impressive. And they've also got to think of their plans ahead. And Durandil does unfortunately die.
Oh no.
And that's going to be a reset. I'm surprised they're actually going for the reset. I would have potentially gone on to see if I could claim it, but that's so unfortunate for them.
Yeah, especially considering on a 7, he still had like so much time. Like I think like just one death alone, in my opinion, wouldn't have been like the worst. I think he may have been able to recover this, but he doesn't for sure not think like this. So
yeah, deciding to head out, and it looks as though they might have taken a step away, stretch to the legs, kind of relax, move their bodies a little bit. Sometimes that's what you need to do. Just kind of move yourself away from your PC, stretch your legs. Just give yourself a little bit of an extra. And I mean, immediately going back into the Notharian's lair, I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that one, but we'll have to wait and see. Heroic Solo still dealing with Magma Tusk here. The first, what a lot of people head to as the first boss of their Neltharis runs. Again, another very, very fun boss, and a beautifully designed boss as well. I mean, so many tentacles. So many tentacles.
And as we can see, like at Hursty's POV, he's doing the exact same thing that what Molini would do. Like he's taking advantage of the haste buff to kill the ads around the boss. Getting some extra damage because of the ads, because like we need to remember, like this is fortified. Usually the bosses like more the easy part than the trash. Yeah? So going into like the boss with the trash is always puts like extra stress on the soloist here.
I think that's the big thing, is the difference in fortified tyrannical. I mean, again, it would have been interesting to see if this was a tyrannical affix on these dungeons, to see how differently these players could potentially approach some of these dungeons here. Magma Tusk is getting big and angry on the side of Heroic Solo. That is a big old mammoth. But there we go, dropping down slightly. The enrage, obviously. I mean, the other thing as well is Heroic Solo, this is taking a very, very long time. And Demon Hunters, they do a really solid job in surviving, but their damage, less than stellar here.
And as we can see here with Molini, he's opting into doing like an invis skip and pulling some of these enemies onto the boss. But he skipped like a big chunk of the trash in front of this boss.
He did indeed, but he's making very, very quick work of those small worms here before we do end up seeing this boss. Again, it'd be interesting to see what they decide to do to get rid of the spiked tongue cast. I'm assuming Molini has something entirely in mind. We do see Durandil here once again working on that first trash back. It does seem to have paid off, and then immediately heading towards the first boss. Once again, Hursty doing a great job in clearing up through Altiris here, and we actually are seeing Heroic Solo has killed the first boss. Magma Tusk is down, and now we'll be heading towards the second boss that they will be taking on in Naltharis, which is, of course, Chargath, Bane of Scales.
And one thing that I wanted to note about like the soloing community, everyone can really get into this with any class. It's like you people in the soloing community, they always compare each other with their own class. So it's a kind of like a fair competition around. So if anyone's interested in picking this up, you think you can do it better, I think there's always room in the soloing community for more people who take on these challenges. Just as a quick note.
Durandil has reset once again, going back into that Naltharius there. They are desperate for that 9. Meanwhile, Altarius going down for Hursty on their +7 Vortex Pinnacle. And the longer that Durandil spends doing this +9, the further and further they are going to be falling behind against Heroic Solo, against Hursty as well. Meanwhile, Malini doing a great job in dealing with the boss that we do see here in Naltharian's Lair, Naraxus. And the Spike Tongue coming in. No worries. Death's advance. Everyone's happy.
It's going to be interesting to see how Hurst is going to handle this trash. We see Molini do this trash before on this key level, I believe. And he opted in like pulling everything towards the boss, but I would believe that that is probably too much for a monk tank to do same way that the Death Knight can do it with the benefit of his capabilities of self-healing. As we can see, he's like doesn't like this trash, as we see him go straight for the sparks.
Yeah, skipping pretty much all of it here. I'm wondering if they're going to do the same, skip those 2 packs and then pull the rest in potentially towards the boss. Could be very sketchy, but we will have to wait and see. Heroic Solo here on Chargath, Bane of Scales, doing everything they can. Durandil, once again, team, heading towards into that Naltharian's lair. Naraxus nearly dead on the side of Malini. Malini never looked like they were in trouble. A +2 might still be on the cards. It's difficult to see exactly how long they have left there. +2 would be very, very tough for them to actually complete, but it's still potentially on the table. Regardless, the +8 Naltharian's Lair, will be a very, very nice thing to have rounding out their score here. And immediately a Town Portal once again from Durandil. I'm not entirely sure what's... Durandil at this point should probably put Town Portal on their bars.
Yeah, I think at this point it's safe to say that maybe going ahead and doing another dungeon would be the play here, to at least get some more score points compared to the competition.
And reset yourself as well.
Yeah, that's also a good call. Like seeing this dungeon over and over can be really exhausting, especially when things are going right for a little bit and then suddenly everything goes down unexpectedly, like for what he has happened to him multiple times here.
And he immediately pulls an ad there, and that's going to once again, the reset coming in very, very quickly. And, it's kind of one of those scenarios we spoke about being tilted. We spoke about kind of trying to keep yourself centered. The moment you start getting tilted is the moment you start making more and more and more mistakes, which then makes things worse because you get even more tilted. And it's a very, very rough situation to be in.
Yeah, especially considering like with the more resets, like I know this from speedrunning myself, the more resets that you do, the more inclined you reset, the more of a perfectionist you become, and the less and less mistakes you accept. So by really like recentering yourself and focusing on what's at hand, you can really make a difference with that.
Yeah. Switching things up, a different environment is never, ever a bad thing. Heroic Solo here, still pushing hard. Chargath, Bane of Scales. Obviously the big, the boss that they are taking down right now. Hursty still working on this trash pack again. A pretty nasty set of trash that you do have towards the end of Vortex Pinnacle. And you can see Hursty there taking so much damage. Red Stagger currently for their monk at the moment, but being able to deal with that, and they've recovered quite comfortably. Malini, however, Trevor has just pulled everything in towards the boss here on, on Dargrul, and has just said, you know what? I'm just going to take on the boss and all the trash at the same time. I'm a DK. I don't care. Durandil, they're Clefttooth, currently doing all the work for them on this first trash back, and they seem to have had this first trash back down. It's later on that they will be having some issues. They'll be stumbling into some roadblocks, as they have done for effectively the past hour, Sheik Runner, at this point. And as we are heading into the final, what is effectively the final hour of this tournament right now, I'm wondering how much, how much of that time would you say that Durandil has quote unquote wasted?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. Like I think like at first it was a very valiant effort of his to really try to secure this Nefarian +9. So I wouldn't count that as like wasting time, but like at least for the past, like ever since like the reset where he was like 50% done with the dungeon, I think ever since then, I think he should have just accepted his fate to move on to another dungeon and moved on from here and maybe coming back later, because like we all like you said, we're in the last hour of this tournament. There's not gonna be many chances for him to secure like more score. Could also be that he just really thinks that the other options are just not better for him. That could also be a factor. Like maybe Warrior Split Nickel for a hunter is like very difficult, even like on lower levels. So he's thinking he has better shot at than a Nefarian Slayer. But I believe he has like one or two like easy keys left. Like I believe his Nefarious can still be pushed further.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we have a little bit of a technical difficulty on Molini's side. We'll see if we're able to fix it quickly. Seems like it's not even us. It's just Molini's computer dying right now. Oh well, we cannot do anything about it.
Molini's going too quick. That's what it is. He's going too quick and his PC can't keep up.
that is very true.
That's exactly what it is. Durandil moving on. Once again, the first boss, Rockmora here, doing everything they possibly can to break through this +9. Is it going to be almost a personal victory for them? We will have to wait and see. Heroic Solo here has once again moved on to some of the later trash. They have been able to kill Chargath, Bane of Scales. They will be moving on towards Forge Master Gorek here in the Chamber of Flames. Hursty has pretty much got all of their ad count completed here for this Vortex Pinnacle +7. They will be moving on to Assad, the final boss of the dungeon, which is a very, very fun dungeon. Always remember to jump on the static cling. The amount of people that forget that is kind of funny. It is very, very funny. We do see one of the incorporeal ads coming in here for Hursty, having to make sure they are dealing with that one. And just waiting, I think they're just going to be waiting now for the incorporeal to reset, because then they could potentially go in with a bunch of cooldowns available. Molini is back right now, still working on Dargrul here. It does look as though that is done, and the dungeon has effectively been completed. If they just clear out this trash, and boom, there is the dungeon completed. It is a +2 on the Neltharian's lair. That's impressive.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna see our first +10 for today. That would be very exciting to see.
That would be interesting.
But
I wonder what he's gonna do about it. Is he going to do another +10, or is he just going to go into Uldaman, or what is he gonna do? We will see in a couple of minutes. At the same time, though, Durandil, I feel like he is just like, I'm not gonna be able to time anything better, so I'm just gonna stick to this and show everybody that +9 Neltharian's Lair on a hunter is possible. I feel like that's what his mindset right now.
Yeah, the personal achievement that Durandil has for this dungeon right now. Heroic Solo has moved on to Forge Master. So Forge, or the area that Forge Master is in. So once again, getting themselves through. But the time on this dungeon, 13 minutes left. There is still a lot of trash for Heroic Solo to get through, and the bosses as well. That's going to be very, very close. Hursty, meanwhile, is 50% of the way through Assad's health. So that +7 Vortex Pinnacle is looking relatively safe right now. Meanwhile, all eyes on Malini. What are you going to be doing? Was that a +10 Neltharian's Lair I just saw?
I believe your eyes did not deceive you, I think. But is that the key that he's actually doing? That's another question.
Let's find out.
Yeah, it looks like it is. He's definitely generating this key right now.
Plus, that's a big call. A +10 Neltharian's Lair, and that would be.
Oh, he forgot to reset.
He forgot to reset. He forgot to reset. That's unfortunate. I mean, if you're on the side of Durandil as well, you might have one eye on this, and you could think to yourself, it's possible, Sheekrunner, that Durandil could be like, oh, you're going into a +10. Imagine how you would feel morally if Molini is able to get through a +10 like first time, and you haven't been able to complete this +9.
Yeah,
That's
it's
gonna
be
sad.
definitely. It's gonna definitely do something to your morale.
At least
But
Sting. At the same time, though, Hursty is done with his +7 Vortex Pinnacle, and that's a +1 for him.
But barely, if I see it right.
Yeah, there's barely any time left, but well, he's done with it. He can move over to another dungeon and keep pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, the way that Durandil has been going here, I wouldn't be surprised if Durandil actually ends up falling. Towards last place. I don't think they will. I think it's still going to be tough for Heroic Solo. But if they do complete this +5 in Neltharis, then once again that could potentially put them ahead of Durandil. But again, and it looks as though there's going to be a death. There's going to be a town portal. It's another reset here, which is not fun.
That's unfortunate because this is the a break point for him basically. If he's able to pass this one, it gets easier-ish, but too bad that he's not able to. I want to see this man succeed this dungeon.
Yeah, me too. Oh, he's going for no. He's finally calling it a day with Neltharian's Lair.
He's going into Legacy of Tyr.
But it was a great effort there from Durandil, trying to make it work. But at some point, you just gotta call it and move on. Just gonna see how he's going.
Yeah, big respect to him for being persistent, though.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of soloing is about. You make your own challenges and you try to overcome them. You don't really know if it's even possible to do this because there's no balancing team for soloing. You don't really expect certain things to even be possible, but then you can show the world, it is indeed possible.
Maybe he will return to it, although I don't think so. Only 55 minutes left on the timer. Remember, we have to give them 5 extra minutes after the clock, just because they started a little bit later. So yeah, he has a room for 2 or maybe 3 dungeons in his pocket. I'm talking about Durandil. I mean, it's pretty much the same for everybody else there. They have room for 2 full dungeons and maybe the third one of which will be started really, really late. So they need to do they need to be super efficient with their timings now.
Yeah. Especially if they want to be looking. I mean, I think at this point, Malini is probably a step ahead of all of them. Specifically, if this +10 goes in, I don't think we will see. I don't think we'll see anybody catching up to Malini at this stage. They'll be playing for personal pride. I do want to keep an eye on Heroic Solo though. 9 minutes left in this +5 Neltharis. Forge Master Gorak is just below 50% health, around about the 40% mark. That's a lot of health to get through, plus the trash before Warlord Saga, plus Warlord Saga herself. I'm wondering if Heroic Solo actively has the damage to beat this timer here.
Yeah, I feel like he just doesn't have any damage whatsoever. Maybe it's his build, or maybe the demon hunters have just really, really low single target. Though I am kind of wondering, because if you go to Warcraft logs and you look up the tank DPS a couple of weeks ago, when I was mostly playing and not just raid logging and checking the logs and whatnot, Demon Hunter was the highest DPS, single target DPS tank. I am wondering, like, what is happening to Heroic Solo right now? What is he's doing? What is his strat? And what is happening? What is up with him that those +5s feel like +10s, and he's barely timing them? I just
We see
go ahead.
Hursty here in +9 right now, opting in a little bit of like a kite strategy, which I think we did not see before from him here. So it seems like it's like a really step up from the Nefarian Slayers before that.
Or maybe the difficulty spike is actually starting to hurt him, and he needs to run around and wait for his cooldowns, wait for his stagger to run out, and things like that to make sure that he's surviving.
I think the difficulty does start to spike here, especially this first trash back, the Vile Shard Hulk on a fortified. Incredibly painful. The little lads that come in, you'll also notice that a lot of these groups, a lot of these players have not pulled in the Basilisk. I think Malini was the only one that did pull in the Basilisk. Once again, because of how dangerous they are. Heroic Solo has cleared Forge Master Gorek and now is going to be moving over to Warlord Saga. 82% here, so looking to try and snap these ads down, but isn't currently working. There we go. There go the ads, and then pulling them over towards here. I think the big problem with Demon Hunter's damage isn't so much the single target, but one thing that we've seen Hursty and Malini to great effect do is being able to clear trash with obviously the bosses as well, which Heroic Solo doesn't seem to be able to do as quickly. The single target damage is definitely up there. Everything else, however, not quite at that same level, and I think that's where Heroic Solo is losing a lot of their time.
Yeah, I would like to have a talk with him after that and ask him like what's up. But that's just like, my personal, because I'm curious about what's going on. It seems like there is just one hole, like one hole in his rotation build strat and whatever he's going for, that he's unable to cover, and that really drags him down. And on this note, I kind of want to bring up the tournament table, the scoreboard, and so Mulini has the highest timed keys. Then Hursty is kind of following him with all those +7s. Durandale is on the 3rd place, and Heroic Solo is really like behind everybody else with his keys. But I mean, it's the participation that matters and the challenge, right? It's the journey, not the destination.
And you got to think like we're like trying to figure out like who's the best soloist here, and we have like people like Molini or like Hursty Durandal, who all like has some very incredible achievements, such as, for example, Molini killing Sludgefist Mythic when the content was actually still like relevant, which is like just terrifying.
I wonder if he killed anything on this this expansion on patch, or like close to on patch, as in maybe Sarkaret Heroic ? No, I don't think that's possible. But maybe, maybe some other boss.
First boss of Vault of Incarnates. I mean, Malini is doing a great job here, as is Hursty. First boss, Rockmara there of Neltharian's Lair. Durandale going back into Alderman hasn't quite worked out. I have my eyes solely set on Heroic Solo here. 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes, 30 seconds left in there now. Tharis +5. And they're moving over to Warlord Saga here. The hunt coming in. This boss is going to be incredibly close for them, because they're going to have to deal with the shields. They're also low on trash percentage here. They have picked up the first one. They do have the wand, which does have a cast time, does require you to stand still. Great utilization of the mobility here. And it also looks as though, so they've got the wand, They also have, trying to see what else they have. It looks like it is just a double wand, potentially. They are going to have to pick up another one of these gold piles here for Warlord Saga. You effectively need 3. In comes the Magma Shield. So let's take a look and see what happens here. So we've got the Wand of Negation coming in, and they've only been able to pick up the 1 so far. So this is going to be so much damage coming through. Another Wand of Negation once again. 3 minutes, 40 seconds left on the timer here. And look at that damage that we do see Heroic Solo taking, being able to recover that one. And now we also have the Wild Charge. Boom, immediately in. Shield broken. 3 minutes 30 left on the clock here, Sheik Runner. This is coming down to the absolute wire here for Heroic Solo.
Yeah, this is gonna be really tough for him to beat here. He really needs to keep his uptime on the boss to really make sure he's gonna manage this timer.
Okay, digging through the gold, what do we see? We see the orb. That one is, again, a cast time and a throw. We do see the wand. You need to pick up one more Heroic Solo that you do need to grab. It'll be on that side of the arena. See if you can leap over there. The shield will be coming in very, very shortly after this effectively AoE attack here from Warlord Saga. So once again, we're going to need a second one. So here comes the Magma Shield. 2 minutes, 50 seconds left. In comes the Wand of Negation. Then you've got the AoE. You're going to need one more here, which we're going to pick up just right now. And it is you need to get close for this one. Rose of the Veil. It wasn't quite close enough. Wasn't close enough, which is going to be real rough because now the damage is going to ramp up consistently. As mentioned, until this Magma Shield is broken, the damage continues to ramp up. Digging through, it's another orb. This one can be thrown. This one can be thrown. But there we go. Yeah, Cheat Death has been popped. So they do have Saga down 51%, able to take a chunk of damage off because it is 100% extra damage. But 2 minutes left on the boss here. This is once again going to be so close for Heroic Solo.
This is very dangerous for him as well because he has no safety net to fall on, right? There's no Cheat Death left. If he mistimes his cooldowns, it's gonna be like a sealed doom for him if he's not unable to deal with all those ads. And if he starts actually like misses the casts again. So I hope he is able to do all of it. Also the timer pressure, it's like, sure, 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Okay. Here comes the Magma Shield. We've got the orb, then the wand, then we have the charge. This should work really well. Should be able to break this super quickly. Boom, there we go. Has been able to break through the Magma Shield very quickly. Just the last couple of percent here needs to break. There it is. Now you put damage on the boss. 100% extra damage taken. We're looking dropping 25, 24%. Beacon to the Beyond is going to be up in probably the next 20 seconds here. So that's going to be a massive chunk of damage that is going to be taken off. At least 500k here. Minute left. The trash has been completed. Now we have 1 minute for Heroic Solo to take this boss down. We do not want to see another one of those Magma Shield phases. If we see another Magma Shield phase, that could potentially be it. Having to move really far across the arena is also bad. 15% left, 1.2 million health. Getting those nice and quickly, that's what we kind of want to see. 45 seconds here should realistically be doable. We will see Magma Shield shortly. Here it comes. Break through this Magma Shield nice and quick. In comes wand. Then we've obviously got the charge, and then I believe it is the orb. No, they missed one. They weren't able to pick it up. 30 seconds left here for Heroic Solo to complete this +5 Neltharis. There goes the charge. In comes through. They need to break it. They do have Beacon to Beyond. Boom, Beacon to the Beyond comes down.
There we go.
There we go. 1.6 million that did, I believe. That is a huge amount of damage coming in from Beacon to the Beyond. And once again, as I mentioned, Heroic Solo there, Sheik Runner, taking that one to the absolute wire.
Yeah, like 4 seconds left, I believe. That's crazy. As we are like checking out the other players here, Molini still in his Nefarin Slayer, +10, almost ready to pull the second boss. It looks like he's currently just fine. As we see Durandal still trying his Olderman legacy. No, it's not Olderman. He actually moved on to Nefaris. I think Olderman was just too challenging at this point at the level 7, so he decided to move on. And with Hursty here, we still see him in his Nefarin Slayer +9, as he certainly seems to struggle a little bit here, but overall it still looks rather stable.
Yeah, looking stable across the board here for Molini and Hursty. Heroic Solo,
I
Where
wonder
does
what
Heroic Solo
dungeon.
go from here?
Yeah, same. I was wondering what is the dungeon he's gonna pick. He only has two options: Vortex Pinnacle and Oldemon. If he wants to push his really low keys, or is he go? Yeah, okay, Vortex Pinnacle. This is the one dungeon that he was saying is really a nightmare for him because he gets continuously crowd controlled. So we need to watch out about like what he's gonna do with those. With those odds that continuously spam cyclones on him, continuously stun him, and all
PvP
that
trinket.
kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, he's wearing one of that. Have you seen that? The adaptation trinket. So
Yep.
he will be able to get rid of one of the crowd controls every minute. So that's okay for him. And on top of that, he should have silent sigil. He should have AoE stun, the interrupts and whatnot. So hopefully it is this time it's gonna be alright for him and he will be able to break out of that CC, continue dealing damage, continue surviving and not tanking, as in tanking in terms of like lowering his success rate. Meanwhile, Hursty, he engaged the second boss of Neltharian's lair. He is doing +9 and it seems to be completely fine. He needed to retreat to the kiting tactics, but otherwise it seems to be alright for him. Molini at the same time, almost like in the same area as Hersey is, but again the difference is 1 key level, right? And probably a bunch of health percentage between Hersey and Molini. Durandil opting to go into Naltharus +7 on that hunter and prove everybody that hunters can time that one. I will be watching closely to him because it's always tanks are good, but I'm kind of like cheering for Durandil because I always want to see him perform on that hunter. I don't know.
Did Molini lose where Ulrog Cragshaper went?
I
Probably.
believe he did.
Yeah, a very unlucky situation to be in, but oh well, it is what it is.
But this is where we can see how like being focused for like 3 hours like this can take a toll on you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It really can. I mean, Molini's even cleaving them down evenly as well. Just kind of hoping. Let's see. Is it going to be that one? It's not that one. Is it going to be this one? Nope. It's the last one. It's the exact last one that Molini has to deal with, which again, is very, very unfortunate here. I mean, it's not dangerous. Molini is in no danger of dying, but it is wasting so much time here.
Yeah,
That I think you're almost guaranteeing a +1 right now out of this.
yeah, considering the tank DPS is just abysmal on single target, yeah, this is definitely like an insane time loss for Melanie. But if he's still able to time +10 on just one chest, that's completely fine. It's no big deal. He's the only one that is able to time +10s anyway right now.
Very true. Very true. We do see Durandil working hard, still on Magma Tusk here, trying to get through the sheer amount of health that this boss has. It is a it's a chonky boy. It is what we call a chonky boy. Heroic Solo here, working their way through this first trash pack, and they have completed it. So now we move on to the next set of trash.
And this is the dangerous pack.
Yep.
Yeah, one thing we saw with Heroic Solo yesterday that he really struggled with the crowd control in Vortex Pinnacle, but also with the damage. We saw him just barely make the time in the +2. So I think to be able for him to make the timer, he has to pull a little bit more and deal damage accordingly.
Yeah, so now we see that Trinket being absolute savior for him. He got 2 cyclones, insta-cleansed it, and no big deal, just like that. Continues to move forward. Is he playing Silent Sigil, I wonder? Because Silent Sigil is actually like absolute life savior in this dungeon because you get to just stop enemies from casting for so long. So yeah, I wonder if he's doing that. We will see. So far, I haven't seen a Silent Sigil from him. Maybe.
As we can see.
Yeah, go ahead.
For Molini, I think he missed the spot again.
Oh no! Oh no! He got it first time. He got lucky. He got it first time. What a lucky boy!
Just saw him cleaving him all down simultaneously.
when you were talking about that the warriors don't have anything kicks, man. By the way, on the second boss you can spell reflect thunder, and that's like 1,000,000 damage every
Oh
single
yeah.
time the
Oh
boss
yeah.
casts thunder. So
I'm surprised that's still in the game, to be honest.
yeah,
There's been a couple of times when warriors have been able to sunder stuff. I think the one of the more recent ones that was changed, the second boss, and I hate to bring it back to Shadowlands. I do apologize, people. I know a lot of people don't like Shadowlands, but yeah, to the second boss of Sepulchre, the giant worm, when it did the
yeah.
conal, you could spell reflect that. You
And
could just stand in it
it
and spell reflect it, and it did a bunch of damage. It was great.
I would imagine it was really big DPS gain on Mythic because you get hurt by
Oh, it
so
was
much.
no, because it was got rid of week 1.
Oh, okay.
It was a
That's
bug.
unfortunate.
So yeah, it was unfortunate, but it was also a really, I always like spell reflect. It's good when you can, especially when you can get the right spell. Similar, you can spell reflect some of the stuff that you get on Emberon. There's a couple of things you can spell reflect. So always good to keep an eye out for stuff like that. Keeping an eye on Malini here, going to be moving towards Noraxus. Once again, doing a very, DKs have a very, very good way of dealing with this. They can Death's Advance and they don't have to worry about the spiked tongue. Hursty, very, very close behind here on the Demon Hunter. On the Monk, a very, very mobile class. So the spiked tongue not going to be too much of an issue. Heroic Solo moving towards the first boss of Vortex Pinnacle, nearly knocked off there. That could have been pretty rough if that did happen. Meanwhile, Durandil has killed the first boss of Neltharis in the +7. They're going to be working towards the Chargath, Bane of Scales, as their second boss.
Yeah, seems like this one feels way more relaxed compared to his attempts of trying to time +9.
We see Hersey here resort to a little bit of like a kiting strategy.
Yeah, he needs to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have been dead. But this is a very dangerous pack. You have to commit some cooldowns to it, otherwise you're just gonna die. They auto-attack for a lot of damage, these ads.
Yeah. Setting up the Transcendence there by the looks of things, which is quite nice, so they can move immediately to that spot for the spiked tongue. Malini, just here comes the spiked tongue. Watch what Malini does. Watch what Malini. Oh no, spiked tongue. Sorry, not quite yet. Not quite yet. Going to be coming in very, very shortly. But yeah, just slightly moves out of melee range and then just stands there, kind of staring at the boss, which potentially a scary time because they can't hit the boss. Potentially a very, very scary moment. So yeah, here we go. Here comes the spiked tongue. So just moving away slightly. And then very, very quickly, we'll be popping, there we go. Death's Advance. Just not having to worry about it now. There you go. Now I just kind of sit here, relax, chill.
Yeah, just chill and CC the ads that just spawned with the affix.
Yeah, I believe also using one of the ads to get a little bit of extra health back. Very, very clever usage there of those incorporeal ads. Hursty, meanwhile, having to run all the way back here and not quite getting there. Looks as though they were slightly out of position. They should still be okay for the spiked tongue. That won't be too much of an issue for them getting back in. Nice and comfortable.
But there you can see like the difference between like a Death Knight and a Monk here again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Demon Hunter struggles from this as well, where you have to run away and then you just spam double jump to make sure that you don't get pulled in. Or if you fail to get into a safe spot, of course, between those eggs.
And this is like another good thing to note. Like for example, like the Demon Hunter has like much more movement compared to, like, for example, a DK with already like just being to jump glide or across the whole map, which makes a little bit of a difference in terms of the time.
We do see Chargath has been engaged by Durandil. So moving on to that the second boss, of Neltharis here.
Oh no, Hursty got grabbed.
Quickly as possible. Hursty did indeed get grabbed. Hursty's getting absolutely chomped on, but is somehow able to survive. I'm not sure where the camera just put Hursty there. The camera was all over the place. How Hursty survived, I will never know, because that was negative HP, I believe. trying to recover from that one as quickly as they possibly can. However, we do see Malini is slightly ahead in regards to damage on the boss. Heroic Solo working on their own boss, Grand Vizier Urtran, the first boss of Vortex Pinnacle. Every single one of these players right now currently dealing with bosses of their own, of their own specific dungeons right now. And Malini, just relaxing, just chilling. Don't need to worry about anything.
Yeah, Hursty's just done. Touch of the SGG. Now he needs to finish this ad and go down in the last section, which should be pretty relaxed, hopefully. Just some
Very
damage
clever.
and that's it.
Very clever use of game mechanics there from her, standing behind that stone, not being able to be gripped inside of the boss like that.
Yeah, good position to take up. Very, very good position to take up. We obviously see some great kiting coming in here from Durandil, which again, I think is one of those things. We've seen Durandil use these pets as tanking pets, and we've been talking about how good it is and how effective those pets have been. But let's not sell Durandil short here. Durandil absolutely knows how to kite these bosses. Durandil absolutely knows how hunter movement works versus, ads and where the ads can stand, which I think is a very, very important part, specifically if you are looking at being, a solo runner of these mythic dungeons, is not only the abilities, but your movement as well, Sheik Runner.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. I think that with Durandil, it's like he has like a different approach than the other tanks. Like it's more natural for the tanks to be put in a situation where they have to tank a lot of enemies and survive. But as a hunter, he has to come up with like very unique strategies of kiting the boss, jumping down from ledges so that it has a longer way to get to him. This is usually the case with like classes that are DPS and soloing. They have to resort to a lot of unique strategies that we just saw here from Durandil.
Yeah, unique strategies. That's pretty much the name of the game when it comes to soloing. Picking up those unique strategies, finding the little things that you can do to really change how mobs work, how packs work, and not only that, in regards to how kind of you interacted with them as well. We see Malini here has picked up the first trash pack, or one of the trash packs, before Dargrul, the final boss of Neltharion's lair, and Hursty has also done the exact same thing and is also looking at pulling the boss here. So Malini very, very close to getting a Neltharion's lair plus 10 completed, and at no point did Malini look like they were in trouble, except for when they missed the. No, they're fine. Don't worry about it. Except for when. that was close. Except for when they missed the little idol puzzle on Ulrag.
Yeah, but also Hursty was so close to death as well. He was just like 5% of health, and he managed to press a GCD and use Expel Harm and got his full health back, fortunately. So
as we can see how he's like he needs to restore like kiting, as we can see it right now, as he's like still not in a stable situation, dropping from like 30% to 70%.
Yeah, but he's utilizing the space to make sure that he since he's unable to crowd control both of the incorporeal ads that spawn, so he runs away from their range because they have limited range when they're casting. So technically speaking, if you're able to run away more than 50 meters away from them, you will not be affected by the cast that incorporeal beings do. But you need to cover that much ground, right? And the monk is really good at that, considering they have so much mobility as a class.
That is definitely true.
Hurst is utilizing.
Looking at Heroic Solo right now, he's not struggling right now with the survivability, but I'm still like very scared about like the timer, as I don't know if he's gonna manage to get it in time, considering how it was yesterday. Yeah.
Well, you're looking at 17, lower than 17 minutes now. Altria still needs to be dealt with. you've got a fair amount of trash that you need to deal with between Altreus and Assad, and then Assad himself. This is probably going to go down to the wire, similar to what we saw with Nautharis here as well. So I again, I'm going to keep my eyes on that one, but I'm also keeping my eyes on Malini and Hursty here, both working on Dargrul. Hursty slightly ahead on damage, but is one key level lower than what we do see out of Malini. Malini is on that plus 10. And again, looking very, very comfortable here once they've got themselves to Dargrul. It's not a particularly difficult boss for these players to be taken care of.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but yeah,
okay.
I agree. All you need to do is to deal with the ad spawning and to just continuously stun him with the crystals, and then you're completely fine. The single target damage that he does with tank busters can be easily shrugged off as a blood DK. It's nothing super scary. So yeah, this boss is just basically one mechanic, which means just walk into a correct spot and you're fine.
Yeah.
Did Hursty just
yeah, +2?
Did her? Yeah.
I was worried for a second then, thinking that he portaled out. Something had gone horribly wrong. But yeah, there's the completion of the +9 Neltharian's Lair for Hursty. Heroic Solo still working hard, trying to push their way through this. I would say if they move past Altreus and they have 12 minutes left, 11 minutes, it's still doable. If they have 10 minutes or less, I don't think it'll be doable
Guys, I just realized we're gonna see our first +11 key of the whole tournament, I think.
Easy.
Yeah, if Hursty decides to go +11 Neltharian's Lair, yeah, sure, I'm down to see it. If he decides to do it.
It looks like it. It looks like it for sure.
It is.
Okay, let's go.
And then Malini's just going to come in and go, okay, and do the +11 as well. Although saying that, Malini's getting quite close to the timer here. Should still be able to complete this one. But again, that timer not working in Malini's favor right
Yeah, there
now.
was an insane waste of time on the second boss for Malini.
Fair, yeah, that's also true.
So this is like, he can definitely squeeze maybe 2 minutes out of this dungeon. But I hope that he's able to time it. The timer seems to be like 2 more minutes for him, and the boss is pretty low. So all he needs to do is to just start doing much more single target damage, and he'll be fine.
Can Hursty survive this? That's the first question. Okay, so interestingly, snapping a couple of things in, not going with a Vile Shard Hulk, making the right choice. You do not go for that Vile Shard Hulk here, and at least not straight off. You at least wait until you've got some of these ads a little bit lower before you do go in for that boss, before you do go in for that ad, because it is super, super dangerous. And you can see the amount of damage that Hursty is actually taking here. Once again, these keys are fortified, so that is a lot of damage. We do have the Incorporeal coming in. We'll be able to deal with that relatively comfortably. And there's the +10 Neltharian's Lair completed on the side of Malini. The question is, where do they go from here? Do they also go into a +11 and turn around to Hursty and say, anything you can do, I can do better? So we'll have to figure that one out.
An interesting note for viewers to know is that Malini and Hursty are actually in the same guild. So there's also like a guild rivalry going on top of it.
Yeah,
there's some bragging rights, real bragging rights there.
Exactly. They need to perform in front of each other to not like fall flat, right?
But the winner gets loot prio.
Yeah, if they are tanking in the same team, for sure.
Are they pulling? No, they're not pulling the Vile Shard Hulk. Yes, they are pulling the Vile Shard Hulk. Ignore me. So once again, this is probably the most dangerous mob of this area. The tank smash or the cone that it does absolutely deletes people if you are not careful on your Mythic Plus keys. Heroic Solo, 12 minutes here. It looks as though they're going to get Altreus down within that 12-minute window, 11 to 12 minutes. Again, it will be very, very close for them. It's going to be very, very close. I think, again, it will be interesting to see how they deal with the trash. They have the majority of it done. What are they going to be skipping? What are they going to be pulling here? But this one will once again be going down to the absolute wire for Heroic Solo. Meanwhile, as we said, Malini is not going to be dealing with with an 11 Neltharian's lair. They're going to be dealing with an 11 Neltharus. They're still keeping the Neltharian theme alive, but in an entirely different area.
And when we're looking at the timer here right now, if they don't reset here, Molini and Hersey, this might actually be the last key, unless they opt into restarting the key before the actual deadline.
I agree. I think this will be going into like 30 minutes territory for both of these players. So if they're not resetting, this is the last key for both of them. And then Heroic Solo, maybe he'll be able to squeeze one more, and Durandil potentially squeeze one more, because he's halfway done with the dungeon, but there's still quite a bunch of trash that he needs to deal with.
Looking at the insane pull that Molini is doing right now, it looks like he's pulling everything before the boss.
I'm actually offended by that pull. I'm offended by that pull. That is far too much. That's far too much for any one person to handle solo on a +11. Surely there's no way that Malini survives this, right?
And the stream even agrees. See all of the frame drops.
Don't pull more. Don't stop pulling, Malini. Stop. This is just disgusting. Look at that. Look at that.
He didn't even press cooldowns yet, by the way. He's icebound 42.
And in comes the chain, boom, immediately, and then using the incorporeal as well. Using the incorporeal, the control undead. Oh yeah, it's not difficult enough. I think I'll pull a boss in with it as well. I think I'll pull a bot. Yeah, this is what's gonna. I feel physically sick.
Yeah. Okay. He still has anti-magic shell up. He still has the healing potion up. He just popped Tombstone, so that's all right. And he has his dancing rune weapon back, so that's insane amount of mitigation. Holy. All right, Molini.
To keep this in context a little bit, we're not talking about a +2 here right now. We're talking here about like a +11 where actual pack groups struggle with occasionally. And he's completely alone here.
+11. All right, man. If they this is the best key to finish the day on, right? Technically speaking.
Yeah.
This is just showing off at this stage. This is showing off. It's a case, this is full on bragging rights. Malini basically has this entire tournament, under wraps, but we do see them dropping. And there's the Purgatory proc. There's the Purgatory proc, and that is just slightly too much for them. Are they going to reset it? Yeah, it looks like that is going to be the reset here. And speaking of resets, I kind of want to, Heroic Solo could go into another dungeon. Durandil could go into another dungeon after these. The timings work where they are able to. The bigger question is, will they? They might turn around and they might say to themselves, well, my kind of time in the tournament, I'm not going to be able to get first place. I'm not going to be able to really get second place here. I feel like Hursty has second place pretty much locked down right now. Maybe they just, because it is a Sunday, maybe they just say, I've done my best. I can kind of relax now. I can spend my Sunday relaxing. There is still the possibility that they could end up having the, they want to push it as hard as they possibly can, but it's up to, it's kind of an option for them right now as well.
Yeah, for sure. If I was Durandil right now, I'd be just chilling on my third place and just finishing the day off. Really. But Malini,
I agree with that statement.
Malini is definitely showing that he's able to pull that off. Like, that entire pull is definitely doable. The problem is just he was standing in one place trying to target the incorporeal, and he just got a spear. And rip. Basically, if he was moving and trying to target the ad to stun him, he would have been continuing with that pull. But we will see it again. Don't worry about it.
He's continuing with the pull, all right. Don't worry about that one. Malini setting himself back up towards the boss here. Hursty has taken down the first boss of Neltharion's Lair. Rogmara has dropped. Heroic Solo, 7 minutes on the clock on the board right now, dealing with a bunch of ads. This is a really dangerous pull as well. 2 packs coming in. That's super, super nasty. Forge Master Gorek has dropped for Durandil. 10 minutes left. Warlord Saga is coming in the next room. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that Neltharis, the 7 there. Whether or not they go into any more keys. If they complete this one, they will have a couple of minutes to go into another one. Again, we'll have to wait and see what that decision is for them. Malini, meanwhile, are they going to be going back into the boss again? Yep, straight away. They want to get this pull. They want this pull.
And honestly, it looked fine until he got hit by the spear last time.
Yeah, it was definitely fine and definitely doable. No big deal.
No big deal. Also, they have the advantage of the incorporeal coming in. So Control Undead is going to go off on one of these. And we are going to see some of these obviously going, onto exactly what you would expect them to do, which is on some of these ads, reducing the amount of damage they're going to be doing.
Yeah, okay, now he got debuffed by incorporeal. Yeah, he just decided to he just decided to take a trade-off, like, I'm losing damage, sure, and some healing, but I still have enough healing to survive. I just cannot stop moving, otherwise I'm dying. So yeah he's taking that debuff to make sure that he stays alive. And maybe the next time only one incorporeal spawns, and then he will be able to just cast Control Undead, and it will be completely fine.
Looking here at Heroic Solo, he only has 5 minutes left to finish off this trash and move on to the last boss. It's gonna be comes down to the last second, I think, for him to time this key or not. See how this goes.
Hursty is moving on towards the second boss, Ulrog Cragshaper here, pulling a couple of mobs here, taking some that Vileshard Hulk taking a very, very interesting path, but eventually is going to be taken on by Hursty. So doing great work here in this +8 now Tharian's Leather. It looks like they have dropped it down to a +8. Malini still alive on this trash pool here. It does look as though they have the Control Undead on the incorporeal. That's going to massively, massively help. Durandil has lost some pets, though. They need to get this pet back up with the Clefttooth, and it does look as though they have the final sort of set of trash here. Turtle has been used, so surviving. 8 minutes left. Final trash pack. It does look as though trash has been almost completed here by Heroic Solo. 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Should be doable. This should be doable for Heroic Solo here. And this will be, obviously getting their Vortex Pinnacle up as they wanted to. Well, Hursty did die. So Hursty isn't resetting, interestingly enough.
Yeah. I guess he's like, I just want to finish this and be done with it, whether or not I time it. But yeah.
That seems fair. Heroic Solo 3, just under 4 minutes here for Assad. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. It is a solo target encounter. Survivability is not really going to be an issue. Speaking of survivability, Malini still alive. And Nelthara still doing an incredible job. Speaking of Neltharis, Durandil also maintaining the timer here. 7 minutes left. They have got a bunch of trash to do, though. 30%. This Raven is going to give them a fair bunch, as is the one, as are the guards as well. So that will definitely help them out. But it is going to be a pretty close one once again between Durandil and Heroic Solo here, between who is going to be able to finish off this dungeon. I think between them, I think Heroic Solo is pretty safe now, Sheik Runner.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's very surprising to me because yesterday it really came down to the last minute and already a +2. So he definitely learned something from his run yesterday and maybe even researched a little bit how he can squeeze out a little bit more DPS, how he can do it better. So definitely see from him a lot of improvement here on Vortex Pinnacle.
That PvP trinket coming through clutch for him. Making sure that he doesn't get cycloned and he's completely all right.
By the way,
he's losing so much DPS by jumping early. It's insane. You know what? When me and my team tried to time this on +24, I basically like jumped on the last millisecond and only got one damage tick that almost deleted me, but it was completely alright, dude. So them heroic solo playing on a very low key and not taking like the risk, right, where he would be taking the big raid wide damage, he will definitely be able to survive 1 or 2 ticks, and that disengage from him like 3 seconds before the cast finished is only doing like it's not like a great thing for him to do in terms of optimizing DPS to make sure that he times the key. I know that he's going to time the key, but like this is the one of those minor things that you can easily optimize and just get a little bit faster.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game for these is, doing things just that little bit faster, trying to really quote unquote learn. For some of these bosses here, we do see Assad is going to be dropping, so Heroic Solo is going to time this one. Are they going to go into another key? We'll have to wait and see. We do have 4 minutes 45 seconds left for Durandil. They are heading towards the final boss. They've got a bunch of percentage that they need to get as well. This is going to be very, very difficult for them to potentially time here. It does look as though I don't think they're on Warlord Saga. They do seem to be still dealing with a bunch of the trash. Malini, meanwhile, is going to be claiming Chargath, Bane of Scales, as the first boss down here in the plus 11. Now, Tharis Hursty has died a couple of times in the lead up towards this Ulrog Cragshaper, the second boss of Neltharian's Lair. And as mentioned, it does seem as though they are just saying, I'm going to keep going for this. I'm not going to reset. If I can't complete it, I can't complete it. I feel quite comfortable in my position right now.
Yeah, for
Looks
sure.
like we have Heroic Solo go for another key here. Possibly his last key for the day.
I think it would be, judging by the time. We do see okay, so we've got Durandil taking on the boss here. 85% trash, 3 minutes left. They should be able to get through Warlord Saga relatively quickly, as long as they can deal with the magma shield super, super fast. I do think they are going to be able to do exactly that. We do need to avoid, obviously, the dragon, the huge burst conal damage that comes out from Warlord Saga. So here comes the magma shield. Let's see how quickly we do actually see this one getting deleted here. So take a look, keep an eye on Warlord Saga's health. Let's see the difference between what a DPS does and what a tank does. As you can see, there is a huge chunk taken off the health of Warlord Saga here. Obviously not to the same, obviously very, very different from what we do see from the tanks, but that potentially is going to give them the opportunity to still time this +7 here.
Hopefully, I would be really happy to see that. Seems like the boss is not the bosses aren't really a big trouble for him, just like we were talking about the entire evening. But yeah, I want to see him timing this because the timer is so tight, and I'm fairly certain that he can squeeze it in. Once the shield is over, he should have like another mini burst phase ready, as long as he's able to survive, because that was pretty dangerous right now.
Yeah.
He cannot find the third golden pile to dig through, so yeah, he's just bursting the shield himself. Okay, let's see. Is he able to kill it? It's going down super fast.
He should he'll definitely be able to kill before the next magma shield. He should be able to kill before the next magma shield, but 2 minutes, 5%, just under 15% percentage. Again, going to be very close here for Durandil. Heroic Solo still in, has gone to Neltharis on the meantime, so going to get through that as quickly as possible. Malini just doing Malini things, heading up towards. Looks as though we do have Forge Commander, the Forge Commander. Gore-Tech, so I'm going to be moving up towards that one. Get through that as quickly as humanly possible. And meanwhile, Hursty working on Ulrog Cragshaper here in Neltharian's Lair, the second boss between them. So this is effectively the last roll of the dice for pretty much every single one of these players. Durandil maybe has the opportunity to set another key up. I'm wondering whether they would after the day they've had.
Yeah.
Looking here at Durandil also, like 1 minute left for 15%. Looks like he has it if this is enough, but if this is not enough, it's going to be very, very, very close. essentially anything going wrong here make this not a time key.
Yeah, and one of the things already went bad. His cleft hoof died, and it's about to die again. Yep, it's dead. They're switching on to the hunter, and yeah,
And
he's
it's
dead.
over.
It's over. It's GG.
Unlucky.
Yeah, he has 10 more minutes to restart, but is he going to? I don't know.
He did just set up a key. He's going back in.
Yeah, all right. Respectful. I admire his persistence.
Yeah.
No.
Reset. And he's going to Alderman.
Oh, okay.
Interesting choice, but going to Alderman now instead of Nelthara, so wanting to get that one done. Maybe know something about the point system, and what they need versus what they have. No, he went to the wrong place. So he's immediately heading out. It was Neltharis.
What?
Yeah, he wanted to try Neltharis, but apparently he just maybe it's like the weight of this entire day and attempting is getting onto him, and he's already like, oh, Vortex Pinnacle.
He's going Vortex Pinnacle. Okay, interesting.
All right,
very interesting.
Also, like, very interesting. We're here on our way, like either Mulini or Hursty maybe are the first ones here to time a +11 key, which would be an insane way to end the day. A finished +11 key.
That would be huge. I think Hursty's going to struggle here. Looking at the time where they are in the dungeon, they're going to struggle to potentially time this one. Malini has a much better opportunity. The timer is still tight. It's a very, very long timer for Neltharis, but still incredibly tight. Vorgemaster Gorek is still going to take a fair amount of time, but the trash that Malini is dealing with as well is going to help that one. Heroic Solo has once again moved into Neltharis, dealing with trash. Definitely not the same as what we saw out of Malini here. Durandil is now going to be pushing through this Vortex Pinnacle, doing as much as they can. It is a level 6, so realistically, this should be doable here for Durandil, but they've been playing for a relatively long time, and we're now in a position where they're not going to be able to reset anytime soon. If they don't reset probably within the next 5 minutes, then that is going to be it for them.
Yeah, definitely. This is like a last 7 minutes for them to make sure that they are able to reset things.
7 minutes of hell.
Yeah, other than that, Mulini seemed to be like on a pretty solid pace in that +11. Hursty, even though he died 2 times, maybe it's not timeable, but come on, still being like being able to solo +11. Maybe if he didn't die and he was like doing it flawlessly, it would have been timed. But still, Hursty earns big respect for attempting this and being on a really good pace in this dungeon. I don't want to bury him yet. Maybe he just suddenly like becomes the Super Saiyan Goku and then just deletes everything in the dungeon.
No, he's taking off his weighted clothing.
Yeah. Taking off the weighted clothing, he's going to be doing everything he possibly can to break through this. And, even if, as you mentioned, even if not done in time, completion is still impressive. It might not award points in the tournament, but still something to say, hey, I can complete a +11 solo, which is what, very, very few players can say that they can do right now. Durandil still working hard, getting through this trash relatively quickly. And, we've spoken about how, Durandil is going to obviously do a bunch more damage than the other players that we do have here, because they're pretty much all in tank spec. So the difference between dealing with trash and the speed that they are able to break through it is absolutely night and day between them. Heroic Solo heading over towards Magma Tusk, and Malini's making pretty decent time, but Forge Master Gorek is taking so long right now as a boss. And after this, Molini still has to get across the map towards Magma Tusk. And there is so much trash between between Forge Master Gorek and Magma Tusk, and then obviously between Magma Tusk and Warlord Saga. I'm looking at the time. I'm looking at the amount of, the damage that's coming through, how much Molini is doing here. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how that's going to work out for them.
Yeah, if he's able to like do an entire one pool and take it all into the boss, then he can catch up to pace. But I feel like going at this pace is kind of like very, very tight for him to be able to time this 11.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. And considering like there's only 3 minutes left where they can reset the key potentially, so I believe that we are here seeing like the last keys here for today. So it's either they manage or they don't.
Yeah, it's make or break for them. We do seeing Heroic Solo once again working on Magma Tusk, taking a little bit of damage there, getting hit by the charge, but nothing they shouldn't be able to deal with here. Once again, Forge Master Gorek, sub 5%, should be a kill for Molini here. We do see the... Oh, Hursty was so lucky there, could see the lunch of Naraxus being able to avoid that because the maw was open on that giant worm, and the spiked tongue cast ended perfectly in time with Hursty getting into melee range there.
Yeah, Naraxus reminds me of Jaraxus. They are both end in axis, right? And then they're like Jaraxus, Naraxus.
Yeah, I see it.
You faced Jaraxus, Erdar Lord
Naraxus
of the Burning
Legion.
I've been hearing that playing Wrath Classic. I've been hearing that so often. We see Molini here pulling in. Interesting, Molini pulling a bunch of trash. Has procced Purgatory.
I believe
intentional.
That's deliberate.
Yeah. He was doing it yesterday as well, just so he doesn't waste any time running back, because that's annoying. That's like 30 seconds time save here, considering how slow the Death Knights are. I wanted to say Demon Hunters, but that would be contradictory because Demon Hunters turbo fast.
Yeah, Demon Hunter is one of the fastest, I think, actually. We do see Molini pulling trash here, and I don't think they're going to pull everything. I mean, I probably am going to be proven wrong. I don't think they're going to pull everything simply because they don't have the Purgatory, and they don't want to, they don't want to have issues with that one. The reset. Interesting. So they might pull all of this trash through to the boss, because they don't need that other trash for the percentage. So Molini playing this smart, playing this clever.
Yeah, this reset makes sense, because otherwise you're looking at another 5 minutes wasted on clearing that trash. So yeah, doing this is far better than just trying to get the percentage in the previous area and then slowing yourself down by several minutes. Because you can go to the last boss, right? And then there are 2 wings in that same area that you can climb, and there's a bunch of ads that give you insane amount of count, right? They're like all giving like 2.53% per enemy. So clearing the trash in the Magma Dusk area is just not efficient at this moment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing, is that solo players are always efficient in the way that they approach, the way they approach their dungeons and stuff. And I suppose for folks that have been watching this Sheik Runner and they want to start doing stuff like this, what's the best way to get into doing solo, Mythic Plus runs and such?
I think specifically Mythic Plus, I would say the class is definitely relevant, but when it gets to like soloing in general, if you want to start out, like what I always recommend people to do is maybe like a boss that they find it very interesting, or like has like something special for them, like a transmog item or mount item, to just like really get started with their class, to really have a reason to even like do these bosses solo in the first place. That's often a motivation behind it. Like, and then maybe at that point you develop sort of like an interest in actually doing soloing stuff. setting your own challenges, because like that's what like these people are doing. They're like setting their own challenges, and they try to beat it. It's just for the sake of like challenge fun, but it usually starts out with some sort of like interest in like transmog item amount, because maybe you're up at like late at night, there's no one there that can assist you, but you still want to like get through it and get your item.
Yeah,
So
no, it makes sense.
So I'd really recommend anyone to really just start out with the class that they're comfortable with, not really be so concerned with the meta, because like soloists generally view it as like how you compare to other people from your class, and not overall best class like you would approach it in general for like rating or M+ purposes.
Yeah, which just absolutely makes sense. Is that you find the goal that you want to go for, whether that is a specific item, a transmog, or whether it is a case of, hey, I want to be known as the best in this class here. There's a couple of different things that you can do to break through, and I suppose it's the same with if you want to get into mythic raiding, if you want to get into PvP, you always find that one specific thing that's gonna get you there, shall we say. We do see here Durandil moving on towards Altreus. Grand Vizier Itran has been killed, so once again moving on to the second boss. 20 minutes left on the timer, so still more than doable. Meanwhile, we take a look at Molini working on a very, very big mammoth there, a very big angry red mammoth. So need to make sure they're avoiding. Look at the amount of tentacles that thing has spawned. That is one wriggly boy. Speaking of wriggly boys, Hursty dealing with a big one, which is obviously Neuraxus there. One more spiked tongue. It's definitely not going to be timeable. I mean, you see how long Hursty has been taking to kill Neuraxus here, but this is about pride, I think. Being able to say, hey, I completed a +11 solo, you can't do that. That's the reason why that is effectively happening.
What I find really interesting here is like when we look at Molini here, actually, it looks like he might be able to do his +11 in time, if I'm not mistaken. Like at least he's on current pace for it, so we might actually see a +11, 2 +11 finish, 1 in time, 1 not in time, which is both like a very amazing achievement.
Yeah, hopefully he times this. Although, like, this will be a really cool, like, a hallmark for this tournament. Molini timing 11 and then saying like, "Hey guys, you can time up at certain dungeons on such a high key level alone."
Yeah. Which is, as you said, is incredibly, incredibly impressive. We do see we have got the Incorporeal here, so that's going to massively help out, reducing the amount of damage that these ads are going to be doing. The big thing right now is ad count. I think that's, the boss itself is not going to be too bad, but timing a +11 again is going to be so huge. And this is going to be a bit over the count, I think. Just by a little bit, but once again, still a very, very impressive feat. We do see here Hursty is going to be dealing with these ads, double, triple Scorpion pack, which is horrifying in every aspect of it, and it looks like Hursty is going to be taking,
he's taking so much damage.
He's
just being beaten to death every GCD. It's insane.
That's what monks deal with. And then once again, the stagger mechanic. I mean, this is going to be red stagger all day, every day right now for Hursty. But being able to break through this and then move on to the boss, and it's not going to be timeable, but still, it's going to be close. It's going to be very, very close for Hursty. We do see Molini here once again working through this trash pack. This will give 100% trash, and then it'll be straight on to the boss. It does look as though we are dealing with the dragon leading up towards Altreus for Durandil here. It's taking a little bit longer than I was probably expecting. Taking just slightly longer, but there we do see obviously the steps up towards the second boss's platform. Heroic Solo has killed the first boss here of Neltharis. Chargath's Bane of Scales has dropped and will once again be working their way towards. They want to get this Neltharis completed. As a reminder, nobody is allowed to start any more keys. This is the final countdown, effectively, for all of these players here.
Yeah,
So
what a way
this
to
is
finish it
for them.
off.
Oh, absolutely.
Hursty, he pulled the boss as well, and that that expel harm and his passive, the celestial fortune, right? The one that can give you just extra like 70% more healing or on a chance is just he's just getting lucky with those healing procs. It's insane. He was
Yeah.
near death like several times, and I'm watching it and like, holy, you need to go and like, I don't know, place a bet in casino or something like that after this much luck.
Looking at Molini right now, very
Oh, wow.
spicy pull here.
Still got the Ravens up, still have a bunch of the small lads up, and we're dealing with Warlord Saga as well at the exact same time, trying to get as many of these gold piles as they possibly can. They've picked up 3, so they do have what appears to be, yeah, they've got enough here that they can set up, so they're okay. They just, once again, need to be a little bit careful. Are they going to make there is the control undead? That's going to help massively, especially with this damage that we do see coming out here. They need to toss the orb out. They don't have a second one available, so that magma shield is still going to be doing a bunch of damage. But with the control undead, that's going to be more than manageable here for Molini. Which one did they pick up? They've got to get close to the boss again, which, as you know, DK is very, very well known for their speed. So getting over there as quickly as they possibly can. But look at the damage that Molini has taken. Purgatory is available, though. So that could be quite nice for them. And it looks as though the shield's still going off. They haven't been able to do any extra damage to break through that. There it is. There's the damage they were waiting for. Now they can start piling into Warlord Saga. They have more than enough time left. It now all comes down to survivability for Molini. And we could see our first timed plus 11 here.
Yeah, maybe we should go make it a big showcase, I would say.
Yeah, on the big screen. Yeah, of course.
We wish to see Molini in all of their glory.
Yeah, it's like he's plus 11. 5 minutes left.
So 5 minutes should be more than doable here. A bunch of damage being taken out of the fire there, but we'll be able to heal that one up. They do have the AoE bomb, so AoE bomb going to be coming in now. They will then have they will need to pick one more up. If this is the charge, this would be huge. It is the charge. That's lovely. So able to charge straight back in. They do a little bit of extra damage to break through the shield because unfortunately those do not do everything that you would want from them. They don't do the entire shield. They do the majority of it. But there we go. Broken through it. We'll now try and put as much damage as they possibly can into Warlord Saga. And that is exactly what is happening. Able to knock off a fairly sizable 10%-ish chunk there. Now we go back into that rhythm, pick up items, get ready for the magma thing, and then we go from there realistically.
Yeah. Looks like as if he has everything under control right now.
Yeah, there should definitely not be anything that is going to be like a, shaker for him, as in like in terms of he's suddenly getting like afraid of something. He's getting scared, and then he does a mistake. I don't think anything like that will happen. Except the only scary thing is the charge when you were in the melee range, and those AoEs that Sarga spawning are spawning in the melee range, and then you can get the charge into that's like mildly scary thing for a tank. If you take 2, you will die. But this is a pretty low key. I'm speaking from like experience from very high keys. But on a low key, even if you take 2 swirlies, you probably won't die. And somebody with like 1 million health, definitely not.
Yeah, we're looking. We do have the charge. We've got the AoE coming in. They did pick up a third, but it looks like it hasn't come through here. So they're gonna have to go find. Another one. Which they should be able to do fairly comfortably. Magma Shield will be coming in very, very shortly. There's the Magma Shield. So once again, we've got the big burst. We've got the charge coming in. And then we need to find one more. Just one more. That's all you need to find.
Yeah, all the way there. If it's a charge again, that would be amazing. No, it's a 12 meters OE. Yeah.
Oh, and I think they're able to get away from that ad that did spawn. I think they are able to get away from it. Yeah, there we go. So now they can heal themselves up. They've got away from the incorporeal that spawns, so that's not going to be too much of an issue for them. Get your health back. There we go. There we go.
2.5 minutes left on the timer here.
This should be more than doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As he's popping his cooldowns.
Hursty just finished his 11. It wasn't timed, but
That's
big
impressive.
respect.
That's very like big applause for Hursty for his plus 11 key.
Yeah. He is saying that he could have timed it, but oh well. It is what it is.
Yep, it is exactly.
Sometimes it do be like that.
Sometimes it be like it do.
Exactly.
At the same time, Durandil finished second boss in Vortex Pinnacle, and Heroic Solo is going to the Forge Master boss in his Nalfaros.
Ah, okay. So we're going to break this shield here. We do need to have one more little break here, one more little bit of extra damage coming in from Molini here, and that will be it. There we go. This should, in theory, be the kill. 1 minute 20 left on the clock, but
Okay.
there
Let's
it is,
go.
our first timed plus 11 solo. That is so incredibly impressive. Molini taken a bow, you absolute champion.
Big
And-
GG.
And to just contextualize, like this is sometimes like a key where people struggle with, and he did it completely solo.
Did it completely solo on a plus 11. That is huge. Hursty there has finished up, as mentioned previously. Durandil is moving towards the final boss. 66% on their trash count. Heroic Solo working on Forge Master Gorek here, doing everything they possibly can to break through those. We do see a death on the side of Durandil, but is going to be going back into it. They want to complete this key. They still feel as though they have time to complete this key. They have the misdirection. They're going to clear this little bit of trash here. However, they're clearing this before they go into the next boss. That could be very, very tough for them. Heroic Solo, unfortunately, does die here. And looking at the amount of time they have left, you've got to imagine that's not going to be doable. And Heroic Solo agrees.
Yeah,
They head back to town. That is going to be it for Heroic Solo's run today.
So
Yeah.
there's only Durandil left, and we see if he's able to complete this in time still.
This
It
is
looks
gonna be
like
tough.
it's
9 more minutes, and he's in the last boss area, but this is going to be very, very tight for him because he still needs to do so many trash pulls to be able to.
yeah. And one thing that he can't do as a hunter, he can't just pull a bunch of trash mobs and pull it into like the boss. He would then just otherwise die, so he has to take it more slowly, which will, well, slow him down.
They have to take it slowly, but then the trash packs do go quicker.
That is true as well.
Yeah, well, for Durandil, he's doing a very good job kiting these because otherwise, imagine if he was just standing in one place and then losing insane amount of time just climbing this ladder, or not the ladder, there's a spiral. I don't know. I don't know why I called it a ladder, but yeah, would be not the best. But he's doing it more or less optimally. Hopefully, he's able to do it in time.
It's very tough. 8 minutes. You've got to get through this trash pack. Then you've probably got to get through at least one more of these groups. At least one more of these groups, plus the trash, maybe 2 groups, actually, because each one of these gives, well, we'll actually wait and see where he ends up. Lightning Lash, okay, you just move into the triangle. There we go. Lightning Lash doesn't hit you because you got the grounding field there. So we'll see how much this does actually give in regards to percentage. I would imagine it would probably be around about 6%, 7%. I'm not 100% on my Vortex Pinnacle trash count numbers when it comes to the individual sets here. But 7 minutes, this could be wishful thinking here.
Yeah, for
most
sure.
likely.
But he believes in himself, and I think that if he's still continuing, he believes that he has a shot at this. So
he's still got to do. So he's going to camouflage. He's still got to do 2 of those trash packs. Oh no, he's going to pull these. Interesting. Let's see how much percentage this gives. Oh, the damage. Numbers on screen, lots of them. Let's see how much this does give percentage-wise, because this could tip it over and make it slightly easier. This could also be very dangerous. This could be a death, actually, looking at how much damage is going through Durandil. But able to survive it just about survive. You can do it, Durandil. We believe in you. Feign death, but those are still going to be continuing to hit Durandil. That was, that was scary.
Yeah, that was way too close to comfort. I was like, I was holding my breath, waiting for him to just die and then port out, but he managed to do it. And GG to Durandil for being able to. Otherwise, would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, takes Durandil. I mean, this does slow Durandil down by a substantial amount. Taking these stars one by one, but Durandil is still getting hit for a large amount of health. 3% health left now. Down goes the feigned death. They're going to use the camouflage to skip past this here. 5 minutes, 30 seconds left. Again, I still feel like it's wishful thinking here, Sheik Runner.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that at this point, looking at how like the past trash probe was going, and this one being, I would say, harder than the one before, it's gonna be very, very tough, especially considering like how the end boss functions. I mean, he is a hunter; he can damage him while he's up in his face, but still.
Doesn't really look great. If he's able to just finish this one, it's already going to be a feat. But after all, he's playing hunter and he's playing DPS against the tanks, so already big respect to Durandil to be able to even perform at this level.
100%. Durandil's been doing incredible, not only from the damage point of view, but the ability to, use your pets effectively, the ability to identify where and when you can use certain abilities. Just a great all-round job from Durandil. And honestly, I've been so impressed by every single member in this tournament. What they've been doing has been, for me, absolutely excellent to watch, and it gives an idea of just how much fun of just how much fun solo play can be, especially in a Mythic Plus setting.
It used to be like the only way for players, other than just raiding in the past, to really improve their gameplay besides like PvP and raiding. It's like really something that challenges you in every aspect of the game. Your survivability, your damage capabilities. Nowadays with Mythic Plus, we have like a repeating content way, but this for the longest time has been a way for many players to really improve their gameplay as well.
Oh yeah, you definitely get better as a player, and it's also interesting. You learn skills that you can then obviously, pass on to when you're doing grouped content, for example. What you learn here gives you potentially more opportunities to apply this to group content. 3 minutes. By the way, speaking of content, this could be content here. 3 minutes left on the clock, and I think unless we see something, 3 minutes left on the clock. Plus, I also want to point out no bloodlust available.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If Bloodlust was available, we might have had a different story. Without Bloodlust, this is going to be, get, I think we're still in the wishful thinking territory, but you never know.
Just to take into consideration, the Heroic Solo for +3 took 4 minutes for the last boss as a tank. So
if I'm honestly, if I'm Durandil here, I ignore this trash. I go straight boss.
He begs to differ.
I mean, he's the soloer, not me. He's the soloer. I would have personally gone for the boss first, because then I wouldn't have used like any procs or anything along that.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So that would have been my call, but we'll see. We've got just over 2 minutes left here on this +6 Vortex Pinnacle. Can Durandil do this? I wouldn't be surprised if Durandil is able to do this one. In comes Chain Lightning. That is going to do a little bit of damage, but nothing that Durandil can't handle. The Skyfall Nova, however, this is going to have to be dealt with. This is the difference between a DPS and a tank. The tanks can kind of ignore that one. However, as a DPS, Durandil cannot. They need to be dealt with very, very cleanly. 79% on the boss right now. Moving over to this grounding field, can still continue to do their damage. 1 minute 30 left on the boss. And again, this is again one of those dungeons. It's coming down to the absolute wire here for Durandil.
Yeah, it's
70% and 1 minute 20 minutes. 1 minute 20.
super scary for Durandil. I hope he is able to pull it out, pull it off.
Skyfall Nova coming out. That's a bunch of damage that comes in. 1 minute 6 left. We have about 50% of the way through the time and 50% of the way through the boss. So this is going to be so close for Durandil. We are just about on time for this one. Punching a little bit more damage, surviving just through that, through the ad that is spawned. 40% left on the boss here. 50 seconds left on the clock. And obviously, as this health gets lower and lower, we start to get towards execute phase. We do have a third Skyfall Nova. It does look as though Durandil is ignoring that one and just going straight into the boss. I have all of the cooldowns, defensive cooldowns available for me right now. This is everything I have been working towards, Durandil says, and they are going to do absolutely that. One of them, they are able to live through, it looks like. So now we pump in 20%, 25 seconds left on, 19%. This is now in the phase where we do the execute. 15% left on the boss, 19 seconds left on the clock here. Once again, this is coming down to the absolute wire, but it looks as though Durandil is going to be able to play this one off. Chain Lightning coming in. The shield is up. 9 seconds left. 4% left on the boss.
Come on,
Assad needs to die. Assad needs to die here. 3 seconds left. 2 seconds left. 1 second left. And he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it.
No, he
did it.
He did it. It is considered timed.
Oh.
Yeah, he considered time because it's less. Yeah, he considered time because it is less than 1 millisecond, 1 second over.
Oh my god.
Oh my word. He was able to, it was considered less than 1 second over, which means that Durandil is able to time that one. Oh my word. You couldn't have that be closer.
That is crazy. Absolute insane from Durandil.
Absolute beast. It was on
We
plus
cannot
6 as
believe
well,
him.
right?
Yeah, that was on a +6. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. And speaking of huge, take a look at this scoreboard right now. And walking through the scores that we do see, Molini obviously taking the top spot here. That incredible Neltharian's Lair +10, plus the Vortex Pinnacle +9, and the Neltharis +11. An absolute champion, and one that the next time this happens is going to be, you know, the player to keep your eyes on. However, huge shout out Hursty coming in at second. The +9 Neltharian's Lair once again doing a great job on that one.
Yeah,
and then
Durandil
+7s.
Yep, Durandil taking the 3rd place in style. It's a big GG to him. Heroic Solo 4th place. He did his best. We wouldn't be bashing on him, right? It was I really appreciate. First of all, he set up this tournament, so we all really appreciate him for that. Participating in the tournament and setting it up, big props. He did some really good keys, and he was able to time +5s on his Demon Hunter, which is pretty great. And he timed some other keys on like +3. So pretty solid performance from everybody. But we have our winner, and that's Molini. Congratulations to him for winning our 2nd M+ solo tournament. And then he gets Bogyu as a reward. and
Oh,
the cup.
he gets a big old poggy for that, because that was
Mm.
absolutely, once again, that was incredible from Malini. You know, we saw so much from these players, that it just shows how, you know, Malini standing out there, truly, truly incredible. Second time in a row. So people, the next time we do this, they are going to be gunning for him.
And there's
Yeah.
a question from a community member asking how to join the next tournament.
You can join our Discord, the solo Discord that we are setting it up. We will post the invitation link to that Discord right now, just to make sure that you are able to join. And then you just have a conversation with people, and maybe you will be participating in the next one. Who knows? And I guess, yeah, you can follow Chic Runner, since he is our caster and a speedrunner
Uh,
in different categories.
Soloist.
Yeah, you can follow him on Twitter, on Twitch, and everywhere, and talk to him. Of course, follow Kexman as well. Amazing performance, and in
Yeah,
terms of casting, well done. And
huge credits to Kexman.
yeah,
Huge
thanks.
credits to Makes yesterday as well. I want
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
shout out
yeah.
to Makes.
Credits to Makes as well for being here and doing a really good job casting too. Thanks everybody for watching, and thanks every single participant that has been on this tournament and doing it. So big props, guys. And with this, the reward of almost 1 million gold goes to Malini, and yeah, we had almost 1 million gold in rewards. Yeah, goes to the winner, and he gets chicken dinner. And with this, I guess you guys, yeah, if you want to say a couple words before we go off, go ahead. This is your spot.
So let me start. So for me, I was really surprised when I heard about this tournament. It was really awesome to be a part of this as a caster. I really enjoyed my time, and I hope everyone else did too. So thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. It was an absolute pleasure. Loved seeing what these players were doing. You know, every single one of them, heroic solo, Malini, Hursty, just incredible players. Oh, I'm completely forgetting names here. Durandil as well. Sorry, Durandil as well. You know, absolutely incredible watching all of them run. Chat, thank you for coming by, hanging with us, seeing what these folks are doing. I'm so excited to see potentially what happens in the future if we see if Malini can hold on to that trophy for the third time.
Yeah, he's back to back now.
Can he be back to back?
We'll see. Maybe blood DKs are completely stopped to the ground. Well, with this, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you the next time we set this one up, or maybe something else. Have a good night, and bye bye.
Hey everyone.